Markets trying to get back to the upside here this morning, just keeping an eye on interest rates, keeping an eye on the U.S. dollar on the back of this European bank decision this morning. In line with expectations, they come through with a quarter point cuts. Previous 4.5, 4.25, 2 in a row then make it Bank of Canada followed by the ECB with interest rate cuts this week. We'll have Frank come by later on this afternoon to touch on what this means specifically going into next week. Remember, CPI and the FOMC, Fed's not going to do anything next week, but it'll be interesting to see what Fed Chair Powell's comments are like. Just keep my eye out for this import-export data. Not in yet. There it is, $263.7 billion on the export side for April. Imports lagging here a little bit, $338.2 billion for April on the import side. Initial jobless claims to the upside as well, 229,000. That was versus 221 last week, 220 expected there. Continuing jobless claims, 1.8 basically versus 1.8 expected. So a lot of data coming through there at 8:30. Keep in mind, yeah, ECB press conference coming up at 8:45. That's about it as far as economic data. So welcome to the official cutting cycle. It has begun.
It better, I guess. Better late than never, Brendo. Yeah, Canada cutting yesterday, Europe today. Widely expected, that we're going to get at least one Fed rate cut this year. Recall that back in December when we got the dot plot, it was 3 rate cuts that we were planning, and then the market somehow priced in 6. We haven't even got 1, and we're through 6 months of the year yet. So
yeah, it's back to almost 2. Call it 1.8-ish, I guess, if you look at the Fed funds tool, but September and then possibly November as well. Here's the dollar. Dollar got smoked on that ECB decision. That's a 15-minute chart, so big move down there from 104.35 all the way back to 104.10 basically for the DXY. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see we're still right at the bottom of the range here on the daily chart. I was keeping my eye on yields. 30-year did reverse there following that 8:15 decision. 10 years down as well, 4.287 for the 10-year currently. So, yeah, I mean, the euro getting a bump a little bit on that. That's about the only thing higher.
And the 10-year made a newer low yesterday. So on a technical basis here, if I could show the screen, Ram, this was the kind of the area that we held up at last time, and you can see that there was good support right here. And now actually we're below that, Brendo. So good look here for yields.
Yeah, we're back to basically flat here for the equity markets. Meanwhile, it was volatile since that 8:15 decision. Yeah, there it is, 0.1 for the NASDAQ currently, guys. Good morning.
Good morning, and
good morning.
Did we just go the entire opening crawl there without a single mention of NVIDIA? Impressive.
Wow. What are those guys doing?
Most impressive.
What are they even doing over there?
It's almost like, I guarantee it wasn't intentional, but I think that's what happened. 1/3, or I don't know, it's probably like 30% is the number I heard. 30% of the market's gain this year has been NVIDIA. NVIDIA tagged almost 1,250 dollars. The actual high is, I have a bad wick, so that was like 49 or something, so that could be breaking. You got the split coming up. Robinhood in the news as well today, acquiring Bitstamp. So we're going to be looking at some crypto. That looks like a big setup for a bit of a breakout play. But when you look at the chart of the NASDAQ, like that move that Brennan just talked about when we got those numbers, like you actually saw, we broke the high and came back in. It's about 30 points. This is what 30 points of movement looks like in the context of yesterday's trade. Ramp job. On a 60-minute chart, it is all green yesterday. That is unbelievable momentum and obviously led by NVIDIA. As he said, it's just dragging everything up there with it. And when that split comes, I think it's going to be even more eyeballs on that name. So a couple more days to trade it while it's over 1,000.
Yeah, we just talked about how that move and the momentum just keeps going on NVIDIA, and it's like it's up 10% in a week. 10%. We said it 10% in a week on $3 trillion. So they've gained $300 billion. I just wanted to say shout out to Havana Woody. I was just saying how's it going, blah blah blah, and he says good morning, and this is to Brendan. He's winning with the Wealth and Health podcast. So there it is right there. So thank you to Havana Woody, and there's a whole bunch of fun stuff now being posted up there with day trading debunked, becoming a trader, you're fired. different things like that. So we're really putting in the work with, hey, what's up, my guy right there? I didn't see Jim Carrey there. But anyways, thank you for the support on this, and make sure you hit the like and the subscribe on that podcast, Mr. and Mrs. Havana Woody. All right, so the other name that's kind of, look, we talk about NVIDIA absolutely all the time, but we also talk about Apple, and I mean, this name has been obviously not as impressive. I would say it's equally as impressive, just not as enormous as NVIDIA. I mean, this name has gone straight up. You had one or two pullbacks there, you know, very similar to what we saw. NVIDIA, member, gave back 20%, 22% at one point, from 950 down to 750. And Apple's starting to go back to the upsides. Well, not starting to break through 52-week and all-time highs. So let's see if Apple has something to say about that little $3 trillion market cap battle that we have right now with NVIDIA. I still think NVIDIA wins, and I don't think it's going to be close. But at the end of the day, Apple has this conference coming next week as well. So you have the split, which is really helping out, I think, the stock of NVIDIA. I mean, just the sheer numbers that they're putting up is, look, we know it's going to fall back at some point. It's just, why would you even look for that now? The momentum is so strong. And then Apple, I just feel like with WWDC coming next week as well, that's another tailwind. So I don't know. I kind of want to be short, but I mean, you're standing in front of so much momentum here, it's ridiculous. So I don't know. So many good stories out there in tech land.
Crazy. We were just talking about NVAX here. I'll show you this is a weekly chart for NVAX. So 1, 2, 3, 4, call it 5, 6, potentially 7. We're up here this morning on Novavax here. It's 33% short. So it's caught this short float runners wind that we've had over the past couple of weeks, but there's also a couple of COVID, I don't even want to say that word, but COVID-related headlines once again.
Apparently, they're coming out with a new vaccine, Brendo, just in time for the pandemic. No, I'm tongue-in-cheek, of course. Look, it's expected, it's supposed to be a monovalent variant of the vaccine, whatever that is. It's supposed to be released by September. It's in line with how the FDA wants these vaccines to be from now on. So we'll have to see how it all works out. It's been a great look for this company, May 10th onward. Have a look at the breakout. Since May 10th, it's been higher highs and higher lows. There really hasn't been a let up.
I was just noticing it's actually a pretty big float too. It's 130 plus million here that is 32.5% short. 130 million shares that are more than 30% short. So I think that's more of the story here, but gapping up to the tune of, 40%.
If it's still that much short, because at the beginning of this run, it was like 32%. If it's still that many short, like, come on. They're like, nobody's that silly. Short's got to cover. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I got to imagine when we get an update on this, it's got to be a heck of a lot lower. Like, give me a break. And this was on actual news. They got a deal with Sanofi back in May. And previous to that, they had there was going concern issues and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you get that deal. Now they're getting positive FDA out of here. The only downside to today, or at least where it is right now, is if you look at the next bag holder level, it was a pretty decent one at 26. And what makes this an interesting, we call it bag holder level, but like the last spot at which, you know, there's a resistance where people might have been looking to buy, that was on a big bounce. Like, it was a bounce off 16 here with higher lows that looked like it was breaking out, and that's kind of like a little bit of a top breakout day and a consolidation. Like, that traps people in longs when a stock is trying to bounce. Certainly it got people in longs there. So when you get back to 26, it's already shown some sellers there once. If it's unable to get through the 26 level, I'd be looking for, you know, previous support into resistance. We closed at 21, high yesterday of 22. That gives a bit of a dip buy zone there. So unless it's breaking out through 26 and gets above that resistance, I'd be hunting for the dip buy. It's gone so parabolic at this point. It's a pure squeeze play. I wasn't planning on shorting it, but I went to check to see what the locates were, and they were clearly repricing them in our system because they weren't even available, which generally means that they're trying to figure out what the demand is going to be. So closer to the open, I bet you it might have gone up a tick or two. It was like 1/4 of 1 cent a share for locates. I'm guessing it's probably going to be like half a cent, but that price is going to be going up. At this point, I'm not looking to short it. If it goes down, then I'm just waiting for a bounce somewhere off the previous highs and yesterday's close.
So, I mean, that's a great stock. They're probably a much better day trading stock than Moderna, but Moderna came in and banged off of 140 basically for a week, and now started to go back up this week on some of the same similar news. And, you know, I'm hearing, you know, we hear this talk, different variants, this and that. And plus Moderna has, you know, the cancer treatments and things like that they're working on. So there's lots of opportunity here for Moderna as well. But there's a nice bounce back upside. So, you know, we've talked to Mike about this, Neil's talked about this name, but Moderna seems to be able to work in this environment as well. So watch out for that. And then just zooming back out, now that we do this, I can see that there is this 165 area. So possibly a break through this as well could be something. You know, 165, we already made a move up to 170. So typically, oh yeah, we don't want to zoom out too much. Yeah, so, you know, you're right here, right now, back to April highs. So yeah, 163. Good little area here. You might want to fade something around 170, but hey, a breakout from there seems pretty good to me. Moderna on watch, up 4%.
Just noting this Rubric stock, recent ad going back a few weeks here, RBRK gapping to the upside this morning. A few analysts initiating coverage here, it looks like for the first time. BMO, one of those, raising the stock to outperform from market perform. So gapping back above 32, which was that initial support over here on the daily chart for RBRK, one that's positive. I want to mention Hood here as well, picking up Bitstamp for 200 million on the crypto side for Robinhood. This is another one that, if you zoom out a little bit on a chart, I mean, has just been straight to the upside for the past weeks.
Oh yeah, it's been an amazing year for Robinhood so far. 69% up year to date since January onwards, as Brando mentioned, buying Bitstamp for the tune of 200 million, their biggest acquisition so far. Really, the whole point here is to keep working off this retail investor interest with crypto. So they're looking to take on the likes of Coinbase, the likes of Binance to kind of expand their market share. Keep in mind, though, they are still being looked at by the SEC for the crypto related issues, so that's not out of the wind yet.
I was just seeing maybe on the back of that NVAX, VRAX, VRAX Biolab company is just popping up here once again on volume as well. I'll double check on that, but yeah, Hood with that's the weekly chart right now for Robinhood, looks great.
Yeah, like that VRAX, I didn't know. I assumed it was sympathy to what's going on with the others because it didn't have any specific news. Low float runner up up 130% with 11 million in volume. Like what's going on with Robinhood, I'm not going to bother to do the whole Robinhood SoFi comparison from like months ago. Suffice to say, one is at the lows and pretty much one is at the highs, and it's easy enough to figure out which one is which. And if you can't, then you know, the trading and the markets probably aren't for you. Robinhood, super strong move. It's going to likely take an all-time high break for like some kind of a big trade. The problem with the market just pulled back in, and we're not really driving anywhere. So you're going to have to let things settle down a little bit here. It could be an early breaker through 2240, which every top is going to be a 52-week high, I should say. I'll misspeak sometimes, say all-time high, 52-week high. So you have a double top at 2240. That could get taken out. It's good news for them. The whole SEC investigation thing, all of them are getting investigated. All of them are being looked into with digital assets. Okay, like what are they classified as? So it's pretty much across the board, and a lot of that seems to be baked in at this point. If it doesn't break out the top, I think you had a very long consolidation yesterday. I mean, the entire afternoon, like 80% of the day you just spent between 21 and 21:30 before a very, very late breakout when the market continued. When the market started going, it kind of dragged this up with it. I think that provides a fantastic area for this to dip into. So whether it's a breakout on Hood, I'm only really looking long on Robinhood today on that news. If it ends up being some kind of a short, I'll sit it out. I have a couple of ideas I like to the short side if they can get there. Amazon's one of them, but you know, Robinhood, I like the story. The stock looks fantastic. I think you just look for places to ride the wave here and don't get too cute about it. ultimately, if the market goes up, like, let's just throw out a number, right? Like if the market goes up like 8 days out of 10 and you're looking for longs every single day, you're gonna lose a couple times. But when these things are, when we're this strong, show me the curl, show me a weak stock. That's a different story. That's not what I see here with Robinhood at all. Wish I could tell you that I bought this instead of SoFi, but it's just not the truth.
Yeah, I have, yeah, it's been too bad about that trade. But for right now, Robinhood is going to be one of my #1 ideas for today. I mean, breaking higher. I love the look of the chart again. Beautiful, beautiful move upside. Great news. I mean, 200 million doesn't seem like that much. I don't know enough about the company, but it seems like a drop in the bucket there. Good support down here at 2021. I wrote down 2150. I really like this name. I'm just getting the sticky note out right now. Once it's out, you'll see. But I have Robinhood down here at 2150. Sort of yesterday's close area, especially on this pullback from the NASDAQ. If we're able to get that, then I want to go long. It's very similar to what we had yesterday with Intel on news, where we were loading it up down there at 30 bucks. And there's the dip into 30 yesterday for Intel right off the open. And that was my biggest Intel position in a long time. And we were able to get it exactly at the bottom, which was just lucky because it was a $30 mark. So we'll try to play something similar to that with Robinhood and go 2150. But I like the level. I like the story. Robinhood, you know, up and away. I think they are not taking from the poor and giving to the rich. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but if you bought it down here, you are a little richer. So nice move there on Robinhood.
More earnings. Victoria's Secret just popping up in front of me here as well. VSCO. There's not a lot of volume behind this, but Q1 results for them as well. That's a daily chart. I'll zoom in here a little bit. It was after the close yesterday. It ends lower. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different analysts, looks like, with opinions on this morning. But as I mentioned here, kind of quiet.
Yeah, it's been tough for a lot of these retailers, Brendo. Lately, we saw LULU yesterday reporting they did better, but some of their guide was a little bit weaker. Victoria's Secret also kind of reeling off that same thing with consumer spending coming a little bit lower, with credit card debt being at all-time highs. So I'll have to see how they trade today, down marginally right now, 0.13%.
Yeah, a few people talking about this SpaceX and Tesla again this morning. Moving back downside right now, there's nothing that I see on this, but it looks like another successful venture for Elon's SpaceX this morning. This thing got crushed out of the gate yesterday, but made its way all the way back to 175. Quiet for Tesla here, guys, pre-market as well.
Only because he said SpaceX, I'm just going to throw in there that Boeing, successful launch. They're sending a couple of NASA astronauts up to the International Space Station, so ISS. So I think that's pretty cool. Good news for, I mean, it's kind of good news for Boeing. It's not really doing anything, flat on the day, but whatever. If I get a chance to say something positive about Boeing, I'm going to do it. Every chance that I get. Just going to get rid of a line here on my Tesla chart that I realize I do not need because it is not valid. What you need to know about Tesla, I feel like the daily chart is telling almost entirely the story. You have support at the 50 period in the low 170s. Right now it looks like 72 is going to be that bottom, and it's been bouncing there, but look what's happening. It's just shallow, shallow, shallow. There were great bounces into very, very modest bounces the last couple of days. So it's still in a downward trend. I mean, testing the top end of this range seems incredibly unlikely today. But, you know, like 177, if it gets going, like 77 would seem like a level to look for a short. 76 was good yesterday, but I feel like if we bounce here after the recovery yesterday, you want to give it some birth. Like the way that it rebounded off of 72, 73, I think if it goes bouncing, you want to be very patient. So looking at that resistance here at 77, clearly 180 and above, like in that range, I'm looking for a wick top like it's already done before. So you get that 70 to 72 zone. If it dips, that's the place to buy. If we lose 170 bucks, hands are off for me on Tesla. It's relatively weak, but today it's only 0.4 down. When I see a lot of things that are like Meta's exactly the same down as Tesla is right now, and the market's essentially flat. So it's not really doing anything crazy. So just respect the range that has been put in. Respect the fact that every pop has been a short opportunity in Tesla. And yeah, I don't think the story is done for them. But when you compare this to all the other names that we love in that Magnificent Seven, you know, it's clear which one isn't getting love right now. And until something changes, I usually am just favoring shorts unless it's a monster support level. When we get to resistance, I think Tesla's a short at resistance levels.
Yeah, we've been trading Tesla a lot. We had it at 176 yesterday. We really liked it, but then we got stopped out on the wick higher. I still like that short up there at 176. Actually, the sticky note is going to be out in a second. I don't have it on, but I probably should. I like that level at 176, and I think it's something that we'll look at if we get that opportunity today to short it. So I feel like the market's going to be a little weaker off the open. I don't know. That jobless claims number there, a little higher than expected. So that's not great for the economy, but the market, I guess, I feel like we're going to be baked in now to at least one cut. I mean, I guess the timing of that cut is going to be what's important, whether or not that happens in June or July. I guess not June. We'll look at the Fed rate tool. But yeah, I like that 176 down up there. And then the other name that if this is at 1125 again, I have to go home. Well, almost. Okay, 1129. Like every time this stock I look at it, it's in and around the same. I don't know if this is breaking out or not, but again, we'll always kind of look at this, and I think that supporting $11 makes sense. So if you get a dip buy into Rivian, that's good. We'll talk about some of the Chinese EVs, obviously, throughout the day, but NIO breaking through $5 could be something. It had a much bigger move down, move up. Now it's coming back in again, so there's going to be a bottom to talk about here on NIO at some point.
It's Starship 4. Or the fourth flight anyways, just taking off right now for SpaceX. That's Lyft right now, doing that. Investor Day is on currently, so it looks like they're updating some financials right now that are coming through. It looks like mostly positive, obviously, coming off that price action, but I mean, they're adjusted EBITDA to the upside, gross bookings to the upside from 2024 to 2027. So there's a bunch of financials, just be aware, coming through for Lyft, up nicely now.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was watching an interview this morning with an analyst from Evercore ISI, and he was really making the point. He was attending the investor conference in New York, and he was making the point, he's there, he's all ears, but he really has a hard time understanding how they're going to compete with Uber. They can't compete on price. They're not competing on price, in fact, most of the time, and they don't offer as many services. So where is the revenue increase? Where's the revenue generation going to come from? I was telling Brendo off camera, I mean, most people are using Lyft as an ARB. Is Lyft cheaper or is Uber cheaper? And whichever one's cheaper, you end up taking. So that's not really a model.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out here, but there are still some comments coming through, guys, if anyone's watching. Lyft still moving around.
I was just thinking about what Sharif was saying there. And you know what? I mean, the thing is that I feel like you compare shop all the time, right? And
That's all I do.
I think it's just a matter of they got to get their drivers. I mean, we'll hear what they're saying about all this. I feel it's like when you open up the app and it's like you can get an Uber in a couple minutes or maybe a Lyft in a couple minutes plus a couple more minutes, then you might choose Uber because more convenient due to drivers. I've looked at it. I think the prices are pretty similar. I haven't noticed enough about it. But like, how are you just allowed to have an investor's day, and then you just start updating your numbers? Like, why weren't they accurate in the first place? I don't know, unless they're guided numbers or something like that. We'll figure that out. But yeah, I like Lyft. I prefer Uber, and I say
very light volume, by the way, guys.
You go with the best of breed, and I think that's Uber. So
yeah, I tend to agree. Uber over Lyft, but I just be careful trading this, especially with this going on, because it's not really doing a heck of a lot of volume. It's 500,000 shares. So it's a good relative volume, but the spread, a second ago, was like 20 pennies on a $16 stock. So it is a very wide spread. So while it's going on, they could say one thing and you could be dropping $1 just because one person decided to sell. There isn't more than 100 shares on the bid until you get to, someone just flashed, until you get to 16. It's insane. So let's get to Adair. We've got some upgrades and downgrades.
Lots of interesting names to talk about on both sides of the deck here. We have Costco starting the upgrade side with this upgrade from Tells Advisory Group, $900 price target. We also have United Airlines getting upgraded here by Redburn Atlantic. Sealed Air with this upgrade from Mizuho trading up by about 3%, and Capital One getting upgraded by Jefferies. Lots of interesting names here on the downgrade side. Shopify getting downgraded by MoffettNathanson, down about 1.5%. Also down about 1.5% is Dollar Tree after this downgrade from Citigroup. They had earnings yesterday and they traded a bit lower on those. We also have Lululemon trading higher after earnings, but getting this price target decrease from TSLA Advisory Group. Worth noting as well, they did beat on earnings, but their Q2 guidance particularly was a little bit weaker than expected. So LU on watch here. Last but not least, we do have Citigroup downgrading eBay to end the list here, though eBay also trading a little bit higher, guys.
eBay.
Like Lulu in the 300s, and they're down. They got a downgrade from TSLA there, and the new price target's $470. So obviously that's just, it was sky high, and they're having to make the adjustment. So that's not really. They're clearly they're bullish on the stock. Like that's nuts. Hopefully it goes there. Shopify is the interesting one because maybe the downgrade gives it a chance to bounce off 60 again. Like yesterday, it broke 61 and got to 62 before pulling back. And that resistance at 60, if it turns into support, and you know how that story goes, you know, resistance into support, support into resistance, it's kind of like the easiest thing to find on a chart. I think 59.75 was where the bulk recently of the resistance was. You had some wicks above there, so if it holds on to 60, doesn't really break 59.75, that would be a good bounce in what has been a nice recovery. It's probably due for a red day because there hasn't been one in a week and a half here on Shopify. But as long as it bounces off that previous resistance, I think you'd have this little tiny uptrend very much intact.
Yeah, that was. I like that Shopify 60. That's been a level that we've liked. If you've missed it, you get an opportunity to get it today. So that would be the name that I'm looking at. And then of course, the name that is again, like, you know, hold, don't trade. It's just like. You've never even heard me say selling Costco. I mean, this name just, again, like there's so much, people talk about, we all talk about NVIDIA, like everybody loves NVIDIA, it's fantastic, I get it. But at the beginning of the year, you want to talk about like being diversified and into different things so that you're sort of spreading that wealth and assets out. This 640 is where we started the year, all right? Like, you're at 833 now, and it's not like Costco is one of these revolutionary businesses that are changing the world that you have to be like, oh, we're on the AI train or we're not. Just get on the damn train at some point here with Costco. I mean, it's not slowing down. If anything, it's accelerating. I mean, Costco, a very aggressive move to the upside here as this retail winner just keeps on winning. So, I mean, I love the name. I've been loving this from time. I've been telling stories, and it seems like so long ago now. But, you know, my father and I were trading in and out of this thing back between $50 and $100 until we eventually just said, what are we even doing? Let's just hold on to it. And then Costco goes huge to the upside. But great name, a hold, Costco upgraded today. So not a great day trade name. Well, I mean, it probably is, but it's just not for our style, not for my style. Anyways, $3 spread. I like Costco. I think it just continues to win.
Bucks or something for, we were just talking about Costco delivery in downtown Toronto was very, very efficient. I think it was like $15 for the entire order for delivery specifically, but it was great. I was just saying, my wife and I were out for a walk on a Saturday morning, ordered a bunch of stuff on my phone. It was at my door when we came back later in the day. So
yeah, it's
fantastic. All right, let's get into a look at the market here, and then we'll talk some individual stocks. 53.66, guys. That's where we closed off yesterday. All-time highs as well. You'll be able to see that we're testing that level from May 23rd. We actually got a little bit above it. 53.72 is the overnight high. So let's go ahead and say that key level of support will be that 53 1/3. That takes us to the crest from the 27th. For resistance, it's a blue sky setup. We really don't have any resistance levels north of here. Here comes all-time highs. Yeah, if you haven't done so yet, go to the website, tradertv.live, wait for that pop-up, enter your information. All you need is an email address. And then you get the watch list every single day delivered right to you for free. Does all your homework for you. Here's Lululemon, top of the list this morning. I went out to a weekly chart to see this level. If you go all the way back to basically the May-ish area, we're right back down, $300. Huge, huge, huge level here. Holding so far on the higher time frame. Tons and tons. There's probably 10 or 11 analysts moves on this, all in the 400s for price targets for Lulu.
Look, they've got some challenges here. There's some positive, but there are some challenges. Here are the challenges. Slowing growth in North America is really standing out here. Inventory management issues. They've been ordering wrong sizes, wrong quantities. Has been a problem as well. There's also a potential shift in consumer spending. A lot more focused on denim rather than leisure wear, athletic leisure wear. The positives, they beat on EPS decidedly. Strong international growth as compared to North America, and they did increase their full year EPS, Brendo.
Yeah, great level if you are looking at a higher time frame, guys, for Lulu.
Absolutely. Just one quick thing here. That lift did make it all the way to 1735. It just regained underneath 17. It was holding for a little bit. So a bit of a pullback happening as they're updating some financial numbers. Let's see where it settles down. It needs to make a bit of a higher low on that one before you want to jump in. As I said, it's very, very thinly traded at this point. So I think you just got to be careful. The expected move on Lulu was 10.5%, 10.5%, 11%, depending on the timing of when you looked at it. It ends up only 8%. Saying in the aftermarket show, which was a blast with Chris Brecher as always, we kept checking back on this, and I'm like, we need to hold 340. Got to hold 340. Need to be pressing 345. Otherwise, you could be doing the other thing, which is what CrowdStrike did yesterday on a big move to the upside. Pull back at the open. So targeting, like, it bounced off 328 on a pullback, 328 to 330. So that would be the spot that I'd look for. The other thing about that 340 area, need to hold up there to make a run at this 50 period, which it would be rejecting today. That's a big chop zone at the 350 level where it had a lot of stability and a lot of transaction, a lot of buyers in there as well. So you might see some profit taking at that 350. I can see us dipping. It was a pretty mixed report ultimately. And they sprinkled buyback on it, which is great. That's probably why it did as good as it did. But with it being a little bit underwhelming in terms of the move and finding resistance exactly where you'd expect, if it can hold 328 off the open, I think you'd have yourself a long. But like any earnings name that's only doing a couple of 100,000 shares, it might not be the best day trade out there. Not when you've got NVIDIA, not when you've got Robinhood. We haven't even mentioned, we probably won't even talk about Meta. Meta was a rocket ship yesterday. I like some Amazon today. You got Tesla out there. Rivian, that 11 level has been really good. NVAX is running. So Lululemon's going to the wayside very likely today, unless it's very obvious trending after a 328 bounce. Maybe look for some kind of late day trend on it.
Just quickly there, we always talk about Fed, Fed rate tools and things like that getting updated. Well, they just updated the election polling right now. And so right now we do have a potential new president coming in the United States for it's a sweep. So I mean, he's got to turn the tide somewhere. Maybe here he is right here with Blackwell. But yeah, just unbelievable. Adara sent that to me, so go find that on X right there. Look, Lululemon, I mean, the buyback is nice, $1 billion, but it's not really trading that well here in the pre-market because it's starting to come back in just a little bit there, underneath VWAP, underneath. We saw yesterday, I mean, the best example of to stay away from stocks early in the day, unless you really do have a pretty strong bias, is CrowdStrike. I mean, yesterday, we like the name yesterday for sure. I mean, huge move up in the pre-market, was up to 345, and then all of a sudden, as the market opened up, we come into 335, and then we drop $30 down in here to 315 from the top, and then once that bottom is made at 10 o'clock, it's off to the races, back virtually to highs again. So I feel like something like this could be happening with Lululemon. It's giving it up a little bit right now. I mean, it's not really. It's not at its highs again. But if it could give it up, come back into, what a surprise, that same 315 level, possibly as CrowdStrike. Funny how they're almost the same price. We'll see this one come back in and then maybe go for a little jog. So I like Lululemon down here. I'm not sure about the momentum early on this name because the NASDAQ is not doing much. It will get going. We just talked about NVIDIA. Space is up, Neo is down, Palantir. Palantir is a big name that I have on the sticky note today as well. I mean, congratulations, those of us that believed in Palantir down here near 20 bucks. That's been quite the move higher on that one. And then other than that, there's Uber. We have Lyft talking right now. And look, we talked about Uber coming into levels too, down there at 64. And if you go back down and we spread this out a little bit, you'll see some key levels down here in and around $60, $64 that we keep on highlighting. I just wasn't sure of the story. I feel like this one could be a miss. Uber down there could have been bought 85 to 60. Great move down. Get a nice little premium there in Uber. But all right, let's go back over the desk and talk about a stock that I just have to do some research on because I'm not sure about it. NVD what? A?
Never heard of it.
1250. All right, let's see about this stock.
The index at this point. It's so expensive, but yeah, here's the higher time frame look. It's just a rocket ship at this point, fitting for the past couple of days. Positive again this morning. Yeah, 1240, 1250 coming into play today. Just doesn't stop.
It's just nuts. All right, so here's the deal. It's the third company ever to reach a $3 trillion market cap, and it did it within 3 months of reaching $2 trillion. That's got to be a record. I didn't read that here, but that's got to be a record. That's number one. It's up 150% in 2024. It's trading at over 100 PE right now, Brendo. And combined, Microsoft, Apple, and NVIDIA make up more than 20% in the S&P now.
Enough said. That pretty much sums it up for NVIDIA, but clearly it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll let
Nothing
you know.
matters.
We play Saturday.
For NVIDIA.
Saturday
It goes
morning
up
play
when
them.
you expect it. It goes up when you don't expect it. Yesterday,
Yes.
look, it has to be said that yesterday was a unique situation at that 1200 level where you had a top that lasted on a momentum name longer than I've seen. I remember Apple did something like this months ago. It was probably even last year, it was so long ago. But it did something like this on Apple where it was just a big break that everybody was paying attention to and everyone wanted the break. And then about an hour later, it broke and it was a disaster. But NVIDIA, after an hour and a half of holding 1200, it ramp jobbed. My one fear for if you take a break on this 1250, which I guarantee you a lot of people are going to have, is after what we saw, if it's just like an immediate break at the open, it could be like a fail break. That consolidation was higher lows, it coiled up there, it led you into that. So if I see something like that again, sure, great. Until that happens, it did a dip in the pre-market. Everything started with a dip in the pre-market lows and then a rip. It's already doing something like that and looking a little bit weaker than it did even in last pre-market. And I have yesterday's close here at 1225. So you get down into that price and do a dip. I think you look for a long off of that. If it's going to be a reversal day on NVIDIA, so be it. That day's probably coming. Until it does, if you've been trying to short this name, it's been pretty nasty for you, and that's an understatement. That said, it's not the only thing that was really strong. Micron was a rip-your-face-off rally as well. I could show you the ARM chart, and it would be the same thing. But Micron broke out on the daily, fresh highs here for them. If it holds 133, I think that looks pretty strong. ARM, similar story there for ARM, where it's not all-time highs for ARM because it had that ridiculous move post-earnings. But this stock is up $50 from April. That is a clean 60% bounce on ARM. And well through that 120 level where it got smoked. You talk about looking to buy dips and just not getting picky with prices. If you like a company and you're going to hold it, then don't get picky. Just get in with the dip that it gives you. So I'm not going to be trying to fight any of these. If it's going to be a dip day, then we're patiently waiting for some levels. I'll let short set up if they happen to, and the one stock, if there is a short, it's probably in AMD, only because it's got some serious resistance levels still in play. In the mid 170s and at the 170 level, you actually have some resistance that has not blown through. That makes it very different from all of the others. So it could get up, if it does somehow get up there, which seems unlikely right now. That's the one stock that has some short levels, 171, 173, maybe even the 170. But we're not close to that. I think the buys opportunities probably come first.
Yeah, I'm not looking too short on these, but I still feel like there's going to be a flush, and I'll talk about this in a minute. So here we go. Come over here and just show this. So this is yesterday's baseball game. This is the first pitch of the game. So here she goes. She gets ready, locked and loaded. First pitch of the game, and then boom, it's a gapper. My wife stops recording it, but there she goes, rounding the base, and she winds up. Oh no, actually, that was not a double. That was a single right there. So, here's me and Baron going golfing as well. And then there is the you know, Starbies, that's her there. You know, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I said up here, Starbies with my homie. So there she is there, and then here's me and Brendo, and then here's golfing with my man there as well. So yeah, lots of fun happening, and so super busy, and the fun continues. Next game Saturday morning, we're really excited for that. But anyways, all right, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA's on the note today, and I mean, it has to be, right? I mean, we had it, hey, what's up? Paul Liddy King says, I have the same setups as him, so that's good. 1,200 long, I think it seems low, I know that, but market could be going lower, and then obviously as we're writing this, the market starts going higher right now. But at the same point, I really like NVIDIA today. You have to just keep playing the momentum long. I don't really see any reason to short anything here. If the level comes up and it just wants to dance around here, I'll wait for it to break. But I don't want to be short this name, and I just don't think it's time yet. This will fall down at one point, and when it does, we hope to be short at that point. But I feel like it has to be story-based. I just don't think it's going to fall for any reason. I don't think there's enough people that want to sell this name until something happens. So the reason why I wrote down 1,200 is we had that huge break there yesterday. This thing dropping $30 is
Points.
nothing. That should be a sneeze. Like if someone wants to come in and sell it, because again, all-time highs, 1250. We're getting closer and closer to split day, which I believe is the only tailwind right now over the last couple days, because I haven't really seen too many new stories. We do know that they're building basically a huge moat. I mean, there's so many of the major buyers are Microsoft, Google, you know, the deals that they're doing. They got Dell there, they got HPE, like everything, Meta, everyone is lining up. Tesla takes delivery and ships them off somewhere else. Like they're needed, and this company has just been amazing. So talk about minting millionaires, like NVIDIA's done that time and time again. 1215 maybe is a support area. End of the day, we'll wind up taking a 1250 break long. This could be a level at the 200 period. Let's just let it open up. It's only 911 right now. The number this morning wasn't great, but at the same point, we're right back to where we were post and pre-number, and just bouncing around. So let's wait to see. VWAP's 19.1 right here. That's where we're at. NASDAQ probably leads a little bit lower, but I think NVIDIA continues higher.
We'll talk some Chinese EVs here. NIO downside to the tune of 5.3% here this morning on the back of a disappointing earnings result, 54 to 56,000 deliveries projected here for NIO in the upcoming quarter, missing expectations. Numbers across the board, actually not too bad, but the forecast, a bit of a disappointment here. I mean, this is not a huge move, back to $5.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a huge move in the pre-market. But look, as you mentioned, everything was really not as well as it should have been. Revenue down 7%, 7.2% year over year, 42% quarter over quarter. Adjusted EPS also missed. Total deliveries, 30,053 cars. That was down 3.2% year over year. 40% quarter over quarter. Kind of gives you the idea they had a hell of a quarter last quarter. Gross margin was a good story here, so they're making a bit more money on their cars. And as Brendo mentioned, 54 to 56,000 vehicles being guided here for delivery. That'll be a 130% jump. So if they can meet that, it'll fix things a bit.
It's I was checking earlier this morning the volume on this. It's 10 million now. It wasn't terribly impressive in the pre-market, but it has picked up a little bit so far, guys. But not a lot to look at here today for NIO.
Yeah, not really. I mean, it could hold. The bottom in May was $4.70. The 50 period's at $4.80, so you know, the $5 level is just a round number. If it doesn't hold $5, $4.70 to $4.80 looks like a support zone. If it gets down there, it's not as if, you know, we've seen crazier things. Like if it hits $4.74, it'll be down 10%. So support on the daily would be an SSR bounce. That's probably the only play I'd look for today on NIO. If we get down to 470, it will be short sell restricted. I'd look for a bounce off of that level, like a false break or just like a tight long in there on NIO. This is the shirt. Flash it. Hit it. Yeah, there it is.
Less hair, though.
Fresh haircut. You got to make the face, though.
I don't know if it's real or not. Is this AI Randy, or what is this Randy over here? The weather's turning gorgeous here. You got no George.
It's a little cooler though today because we're getting rain today, so it's a little cooler. Yeah, but the thunderstorms are. You need some rain when it's this hot. Like it got ridiculously hot yesterday. Randy, we buying XOM yet? I'm asking you every single day till you say yes.
Buy the dips.
Okay, so he's saying yes. He's
still saying buy. I thought we were waiting another $4 or $5 on XOM, but you're telling me we're buying it now.
Buy those dips.
Yeah, I like.
No, 13s.
I really like
110 was the level on it. It kind of dipped it. There you go. 110 I thought was going to be the level as it loads up on the chart, and the 200 period is not going to show until I give you enough data. P-Pro 8. Yeah, like down here 110, 109.
Don't forget, XOM is sitting on $33 billion in cash. So new plays coming in as
Mike closer apparently.
Mike, is that close enough for him? Super. They're sitting on a big cash hoard. So look at that. New plays coming in, new shale plays. The demand is still there. Is it weak? Yes. Some are driving, maybe not what it was, but there's lots of cash to play with. So they're well positioned.
Cash is certainly king.
Coffee
100%.
is king too.
Coffee is always
Coffee's
king. I could always get, yeah, if you're appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
For sure, Randy.
All right. Yeah, NEO. We talked a little bit about NEO there, but to me, I'll just always still try to stick with what we've been doing. Tesla. I still like Tesla up here at 176. So that's going to be a level for me to short if we can get in there. Really consolidating right now. If you say forget about the short, I still like the long at 174. It's right here right now. We tried to take it yesterday, and then we wound up getting shut out of the trade and then back into it. And then we talked about shorting up here a couple times before eventually getting stopped out on that short, which again did suck, but we had made money there and then it fell. So I still like the 176 here on Tesla without any major sort of catalyst behind it. I think we could sort of float up here and then we'll look to put something on, or even if we head to the downside, something was going on down here at 172.50, 172. So that also looks like great longs. I think Tesla's going to be a great trading opportunity, and I should have put it on today's sticky note.
All right, let's talk some Robinhood. We touched on it briefly earlier. If you're with us in the first 30 minutes here, but Robinhood picking up Bitstamp, straight up cash.
Yeah.
For Bitstamp expanding their crypto, my chart's not working here, but expanding their crypto dealings and offerings for Hood.
Yeah, to the tune of $200 million. That's all cash, as you mentioned, Brendo. It's their largest acquisition to date. Really, what they're trying to do here is expand and try to compete against the likes of Binance and Coinbase, but they do have headwinds. They're still being possibly investigated by the SEC, obviously, for having some of these crypto coins on there that is being alleged that they're securities. Keep in mind, their stock is up big year to date, 69% so far in 2024, and a good look from analysts. They're optimistic that investor activity can continue and help Robinhood.
Yeah, it might be in an effort to ease those investigations and make them go away as well. So 3.2% here, guys. What do we do with Hood today?
And you just go long Robinhood. Robinhood is the #1 idea that I have today. Again, we're writing this as they're all dipping, but Robinhood does not. It goes into $22. Look, $200 million doesn't seem like a lot of money at all to me. Breakout from that 22 on a daily, 52-week high of 22.40. You're at the 52-week high right now. You know why $200 million doesn't seem like that much to me? They almost have $7 billion in cash. So Robinhood wins, man. I like the stock. I really think it's going to continue its move higher. That dip, I mean, like I said, as we're coming on air, you're down here at 21.80. So I wrote down 21.50, thinking that if we got somewhere into yesterday's close, that would be nice. I mean, yesterday's close is 21.60, so we came 30 cents away from that. So I still think it's in play, but now the 200 period just looks better at 21.90 because now we have support there. So Robinhood, the chart looks fantastic. You're breaking out here today. These little wick highs, I could say all right, let's get short because we haven't broke 22.50, but that's just a dangerous game. Up 3%. I think the name continues to go. There was no short float from what I saw to be worried about, unless I was wrong. Yeah, it's 6% on the short float, so not worried about that. I think Robinhood breaks higher here. And I'd rather play the dip, that's all. So let's just wait for that, put our bids in and see if it hits. But I like Robinhood, and we might have to break out this 2240, 2250 area right away. I don't know if I'm feeling the breakouts just based on the market kind of not making up its mind either. So let's see if we can get Robinhood on a discount today into 21 highs.
Yeah, there's a buyer right now sitting at 2214 on level 2 for about 30. There's not a lot of size in level 2, but there's people in the front of the offer at 2240. But then 2214, you got 30 thou there, just slightly lower than that. Then you have another buyer 22 even. So clearly there's going to be some support, I think, on positive news. You've got this nice little gap in there. I try to keep it simple. Like you have a rounded bottom. It's a long setup. NVIDIA was the number one on my note just because it's like find longs in NVIDIA, find opportunities to trade NVIDIA because those setups have been good. But it's pretty simple here. If it breaks out the top, I'm going to be in the break. I don't love the break as much as when you get a consolidation after the open to set you up with a breakout than taking it at the open, and then you have a clear gap right into that 21.6. I think that's a dip buy. When it sets up like this, it kind of rates itself. But that breakout, I will have it, but I would prefer if it were to give you a setup where that ends up a high pullback and then break it out. Like make that high again at 2240 after the open, then it dips and then breaks it after is generally speaking a bit of a better setup for me. But we're only looking longs here on Robinhood. Do not want to be fighting on Robinhood. And just keep in mind, like this is committing them. It's about the commitment to crypto. Like it's only a couple $100 million, and really Bitstamp is mostly like Europe and Asia as well. That said, it's a commitment to expanding into digital assets for them, and which has been good. If you look at the hold of 70K on BTC, you're probably making a run at some point soon at that $72,000 level. So if that continues its trend up, then that's just only going to help Robinhood. So it's got a lot of things going for it here, but the market's pretty flat.
Brought to you by American Airs, trading in the USA under the symbol AAIRF. And in Canada, under the symbol WIFI, the company announced a knockout punch, a global marketing partnership with the UFC. Airs Tech is dedicated to bridging the gap between technology and wellness. Airs Tech's mission is to provide cutting-edge solutions that protect against electromagnetic radiation without disrupting everyday use of technology. This innovative company has seen consistent revenue growth and boasts several high-profile customers like Russell Brand and top UFC athletes. OTCQB, AAIRF on the CSE here in Toronto, WIFI. Here is NVAX. Huge move past couple of days here. Even out of the gate yesterday, this thing absolutely shot up to 22. We gap up then this morning all the way to $26 on these COVID headlines. But I mean, more importantly, I think anyways, 32+% short here.
Yeah, that's really the trade. That's where I guess Big Kahunas will focus on that. But the headline here really is that this new COVID vaccine is a monovalent strain, which helps with this new JN1 variant that apparently is coming out. It's been a very strong move from them from May 10th onwards. The deliveries for this vaccine expected by September. We'll have to see how they do here, though, but kind of COVIDed out, Brendo.
I think everyone is at this point, but that doesn't mean there isn't opportunities potentially here.
Yeah, well, it's already pulling back.
I'm not COVIDed out.
It's been pulling back for a while. Appreciate Randy. Just got the coffee reload. There was a break of Robinhood at that 40 level. As I said, pre-market, I don't like breaks as much. I like it better if it's after the open, so I'm taking half size in there. And if we get a later move through that level, I think it's a place to maybe add to it. But I don't like, so $26 just quickly on Novavax here. $26, where we showed this as a pretty decent resistance level if you go all the way back to 2022. Like it was a really nasty pullback. Ooh, goodness. Remember Novavax was like $280? So it was a pretty decent pullback, and the 26 level is a big one, and you've already dipped off of this, lower high at 25, testing 24s. So if it tries to fill in the gap, I think all that consolidation at 21, 22, that's a good place to be long off of. And then you have so much room to the high, right? Like if it bounces 21.5 or 22 even, like you've got 10% till this 24 level it's at right now. You have a bunch to the 26. I think that's a much better play. It's showing you price, like a lot of people taking profit already in the pre-market, and it's such a parabolic move that sometimes you get these dips. So I'm not chasing Novavax up here. I'm not going to be in the short. As a matter of fact, I actually forgot to double check. The second I finish talking, I'm going to double check that just to get some locates on it because they'll probably be cheap and I want to have them in the back pocket. But I'm not looking for the short. I'm looking for the dip buy in that 20 to 21 area on NVAX.
All right. Trying to see if anything else is happening here. Just check back in on some of these names. NVIDIA, not much is happening. AMD, 167 still. I don't mind that 168-ish area up here, but I prefer to wait for 170 and see what winds up happening and play off of a level here with AMD. I mean, I was looking at Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin's at 71,000. The disappointing thing is 3,800 with Ethereum. Like, I thought Ethereum would have been a little, I mean, it's just been kind of flat, right? The last couple of weeks, basically, off that announcement. I mean, it's been a great move. But IBIT yesterday, it's just some of these tops, like they just, and again, forget about the $41 mark or anything like that. It's not, it's just about looking at it technically. So a nice little move there up to 40, 41 bucks, holding those levels. That could be something to be bought, or these dip buys into 40. So I feel like there's $1 worth of a decent opportunity here, especially if crypto continues just to sort of be muted until we get some kind of news. And of course, the imbalances just come out, so we can find out what's going on with those. Yeah, so again, Crown Electric lead the way right now. There's NVIDIA with a buy. What a surprise. I mean, really? You know, we were just looking at that at 12.39. There it goes, 12.35 up to 12.45 again. NASDAQ, Apple with a sell. Okay, so there's a little sell candle there for Apple coming through. Yeah, after that, there isn't too much size on anything too big. I mean, Uber, a nice buy. We had that Lyft talk today. Palantir still here, so we like that name today. But yeah, not too much on the imbalances to start the day. And as I said, like, the market seems to be a little mixed, but it looks like it's going higher, holding view up, and now we got to activate some of the longs, which would be that Robinhood, NVIDIA, Palantir, Google.
NVIDIA,
so,
man.
They're all right there. NVIDIA's going to take that 1250. So, all right, Sharif, what's up with you?
Still talking about the short squeeze, Sean. Today we'll talk about meme stock trading or heavily shorted names trading using MACD, moving average convergence divergence. If you're into that sort of thing, catch that with Adair and I on How to Trade at 11.
These guys. Going to be keeping an eye on this VNDA, Vanda Pharmaceuticals, because they rejected a bid, I want to say like a week ago. It was like 775 or something. And they've just got another offer that they have not accepted for $8 in cash. So there's like two companies bidding on them, and both want to buy them for cash, and both of them are higher than this particular price. So I'm going to have eyeballs on Vanda. Just going to make sure I read some things about it first. But if it can hold $6, that looks pretty interesting to me. I mean, a bidding war for a company and both of them bidding 20% higher than where it's trading right now, that could be a little something. It's done pretty decent volume in addition to that, so that could be a good one. Someone asked me like what I think about the NBA playoffs. I don't know how many games, but I'm picking the Mavs. I had Boston. You asked me at the beginning of the playoffs, I just said Boston easy, but I no longer think that. Luka's too good. Luka's been an absolute beast. There's a lot of things moving around here. I wanted to quickly mention Amazon. It is flat up on a relatively flat market, so doing what the market's doing. But that 50 period on the daily, 182 resistance for Amazon. If it punches through, I don't think I'd want to fight it. But as long as it's underneath that 182, it's a good V-shaped recovery. This is a stock that's got a support or resistance level on it that would be short. So we grabbed some Robinhood. It just had a seller at the 50 level. I'm going to buy the dip back into the quarters on Robinhood. If it breaks the quarters, I'm out and waiting for the 2160 level on Hood. NVIDIA looks like we are charging back to the upside. Well, okay, it was charging back to the upside, that 1245, bit of a turn there at 1245. I guess we're not going to get the 1250 break right away at the open. It could still happen, but it looked like that was pretty imminent with 90 seconds to go. Dip by hunting, previous close is an obvious level, 1225, and then from there, like, 1200 could come into play. There's also support late in the afternoon at about 1215. That makes it pretty easy. Like 1225 we closed, 1215 was support in the afternoon, 1200 was a breakout price. Do not want to be short this name.
All right, so just a minute left before we get going here. And yeah, Robinhood falling back in a little bit into that VWAP area of 22. So I think that we could probably buy something around there. I am waiting for a little bit lower here on Robinhood just because I have no idea where it's going. So we'll wait for that. And if we can dip by, we do know we like the name. So that's going to be a good one. I do have the breakout trade ready to go for NVIDIA if it takes 1250. So that's going to be a number there. 1235 has been the bottom. So, I mean, you know, if you are dip buying this name and you think that, hey, you know, the momentum is just going to be, again, way too strong. I mean, yesterday we just had a huge move off that 1200 break, but it was pretty muted early. Yesterday, just off open, so everybody can see this, we were at 1183 and we dropped all the way down to 75. So 10 bucks or so down off the open yesterday before making new all-time highs. So, I mean, that's just another super, super strong name. So we'll get going on this with only 20 seconds to go. Adair is going to be ringing that bell, and then we'll watch to see. We've got Palantir, we've got Robinhood on our mind, and that's about it for now with NVIDIA.
Yeah, and watch out. There's a bit of a move coming up in Amazon there as we drop this countdown on a Thursday. Adara in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ring it.
All right, so we're open. There, we'll watch NVIDIA here as we say. So here we go. NVIDIA down to 1237, 1236. It is falling down just a wee bit here for NVDA back into some of that support. So is that an early flush? I guess we will find out, and I'll go long and test it right now on NVIDIA into some of these levels. Just going to hold it back. You know, maybe to some of these dark pools. That's 1230 break, something like that. An early take here on NVIDIA. Let's see if it wants to go higher.
So there was just a spike down right before the open. Intel went from flat to down 1%. If it gets to 30 again, I would try that 30 level one more time. NVAX is tanking here. Well, okay, down like $1 or so. Actually, check that $2 at the open. Could come into that 21 level that we liked. Robinhood did a run back up to the 50 level and another dip into 22.20. Look, if it can't hold 22.20, I think I got to wait for 21.6 because that's starting to come back in there. So we got a couple of scalp trades, but I'm still holding most of it. So I'm going to get out there at the 22.20 level. Kind of a flat trade there, but it's starting to really come back down. So I do not want to hold on to it all the way into 21.6. We'll let it get to that level when it does. We did mention the Lyft story. I just want to quickly double down on, not double down, but go back to Lyft. It did catch a bid, retesting some of the highs up here. So Lyft making a bit of a move back into the highs. They updated some numbers at Investor Day. And that ASNS stock is already halted. Well, sorry, halted 1 million times yesterday. And I'll get to that one in a second, but I got to get to NVIDIA first.
Million times. All right, so we're in NVIDIA, we're watching it. Robinhood does come in, but we were bidding, where are we bidding, first of all? 03s. So let's just have a quick look at that. That comes in right to 12, so it doesn't even really get there. I mean, here's 22, so that's what we were looking for there. All right, so NVIDIA, we were sitting there to get a little bit more in front of 1230 there, but that didn't come through. So for rate, it came through, but not low enough for me. It only got to 1223 or so, or 33. So now we'll wait to see here as we're just flat on the stock. So we're going to hold it and see if we can do something on that one. Palantir here right now. 23 and change. It does dip in to the 200 period. We were waiting for a little bit lower as the market's trying to get itself all figured out here as well. So right now, we're $3 in the money on NVIDIA, and let's just see where it goes. I'm not getting out of this, so let's see if we can get 1250 break.
Yeah, I still think, I mean, the order's out there for 1250 if it gets there. If it can set up another breakout trade like a 45 double top, I think I'd be involved in that one as well. NEO's gotten very close to that SSR bounce play, so watch out for that. It's about 8 cents away from going short sell restricted, and if it does, we're going to be on that one. It's setting up 45s. The wick is actually pre-market low, so pre-market low hold on that one. It's a great look for the long. I'm not going to adjust my stop order just yet. We're going to try and take it the same place. Robinhood does end up holding 22s. I was waiting down in front of previous close. It might just have to take out the top again. That high was exactly 22.50, so that kind of makes things pretty easy. If it breaks 22.50, I'm just looking long again.
We're $10 in the money. So, face slap. We just got filled. So there it is, man. We just took $12 on NVIDIA right there. So, I mean, that's that trade right there. So we'll, all right, off to the beach. That's the trade right there. We have it on. It's now in and out, and we still have a piece on that one. So we got out of 2/3 there for $12 right there. So, I mean, That's the damage put on there by NVIDIA. So we knew we wanted to get long. We talked about that. It's just too bad we didn't get more shares. We were sitting there to get more, but there it is right there, $12 winner to start the day on NVIDIA. So I'll just go into my chill mode now and see if we can break through 1250. So there it is. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, Alex, we made about 1.2 million there. So that was a good trade so far. And we'll wait to see if we can make another $1 million on the break now of 1250 there. Sharif, $12 early winner on NVIDIA. So we're doing it. We're doing it. Let's see what happens here on a 1250 break. Good luck to all.
Yeah, it's about to take it, but we stared at a breakout forever, man. It's a great look. It's a pre-market low break, which it did yesterday. Same pattern. Dip by it. The stock is only going up. If I stare at this too long, we're not going to get the breakout. It just never happens. Every single time I tell you this, that we stare at a break, it just did another dip to 46. It's hard to get off the level 2 because I've got the order out for it to break out. So when it happens, we're going to take it. If it does see pre-market lows, we'll be in it again. I'm not on the bid of NEO, but NEO is 2 cents away from being short sell restricted. When it gets there, I am looking for a bounce in NIO, but the NVIDIA play obviously is going to come first. So SSR is happening on NEO any second now, but we're also at 1249 on NVIDIA, which means the breakout is looming. Yesterday was a very different break. I liked it way more because of the consolidation. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to like it as much as we liked it when it consolidated for, it was like an hour and a half. If we get a dip by, VWAP's 42, pre-market lows are in there as well, but here comes, just hit 77s, just hit 80, there's the break, it just kind of happened there. Immediately it's going 150, I think. Yesterday we got 41s, today we get 42s on NVIDIA, so it's continuing to rally.
52s.
What? No, 42.
Oh, 42 cents. Oh, yeah, yeah.
The stop order. I'm not making it up. Yesterday it gave me on the break 41s, so this time I actually put the order at 42 and just said respect that. At this point, if it holds 1250, I scalp the first move, and the next one is the $5 level, and then 10, because that's essentially what NVIDIA tends to do. Adara?
Penny stock here to keep an eye on here. Inno Holdings, INHD. This one, not a brand new IPO, but fairly recently IPO, December 2023. No news on this one, though a couple days ago on Monday they did announce, on Tuesday they announced that they have a new CEO, the current CEO resigning. So a couple of corporate change ups earlier this week on watch for INHD, guys, up about 30%.
Go, NVIDIA, go. Oh, I missed NEO.
Okay, it's a good trade so far. Let's see where it goes. I mean, we're long at 1250. I mean, we actually put all of this stuff. I mean, it's all on the stick. We talked about it all. Today is just one of those days. And yeah, just for those in the chat there talking, it's not. I was just joking about that 1.2 million. Someone put it in the chat, so I was just. That's why I was laughing about it.
Hitting them like.
I mean,
who's actually good this year?
Who knows?
I don't know.
But we're just, this was a momentum play. So, I mean, NVIDIA just keeps climbing higher and higher and higher. We just took a piece out. You saw me take it out at 53.50. Our long is down from here, 12.36. So it's already about 20 bucks. But then, you get this going through 50 again. And we got a similar. We got four. I was wondering what you were mentioning there. Yeah, I got part fill at 43, the rest at 49s. So right now we hold that 49
okay.
And we see, no, not EdJ, no, the just the normal stock.
EdJ's a little bit better. It's my 2 cents if you're with real trading. EdJ gives you a little bit more on the breakouts. You just get a little bit
and here
faster
comes the move
fill.
back in, by the way, right now.
If it doesn't hold to 50, I'm taking a breakout trade, so I'm getting it out. It's that simple. If it makes another move back to the upside, I'm going to get back in on higher lows. There's an opportunity cost here, and I darn sure missed NEO off of that SSR. It went exactly to $4.74, and I didn't get the long there. So it went short sell restricted, exactly where we wanted it. I could slap the fail, but it's not really a fail. It was going into a different trade. So it is what it is. I can't take two things at the same time if you want to. It already made a bit of a bounce. If it makes a higher low, I'm going to jump into this somewhere in the 70s if I can even get it on NIO. So down 10% for a brief second there on NEO.
All right, so NVIDIA does retake that 1250 level, just an opportunity to get longer, it looks like, as it goes right back up to 1253. We had an offer at 1255 again, so we're gonna go back to where we just were at 53, see if we get a break, and then just get out of 20% of what we have left, and then see if we can hold something through again. So I still think it's a buy, it's just right now it is slowing down, trying to have a problem. There it goes, okay. Let's effing go again on this one as we drop our pen. Another out there at 53 for this. Yeah, this is just what it is. What's going on? Palantir, yeah, guys, I mean, honestly, we love Palantir. And that was another sticky note name that, I mean, hit it again. Let's just keep on going. Let's just keep on cooking. What's up, Chef Joe and everybody else that's in the chat there? This Palantir long, we actually talked about 2330 break. There it goes as I was watching NVIDIA still. But that's a good trade early, right? I mean, 2260 didn't get down there, but good trade looks so far there on Palantir. Thanks for bringing that up there in the chat. I hope some of you guys are hitting on that. Robinhood, wake me up when you go, because right now it's just kind of chilling. We'll see if it can come down to 2220. But right now, I mean, we are to the moon and just loving life right now. NVIDIA just continues to rip through 1255 here. It looks like it wants to go back up to day's high, and we've still got this on. So I don't know. I mean, we have now 70% of our 50 fill left, and obviously we've emptied out of this. So again, we don't show average prices, so that's the other thing. Right now it's working against me because I would still have this as part of the average. But now we just have this left, so here we go. Let's see how high NVIDIA can go. I mean, obviously I don't have any price targets because the sky is the limit. It doesn't seem to want to come anywhere back in. Maybe we get out on a back move into 45, and that could be something, but hey, so far, so good here on NVDA, and I just wish we were on Palantir as well, but hey, we did mark it down.
The market is about to take out the highs. I'm talking about the ES, the NASDAQ getting pretty close as well, so everything is flying, but not nearly as much as, look, when you're holding up the entire market, 30% of the gains on this year have been NVIDIA. On the NASDAQ, I believe. I mean, the ES is probably the same thing. It doesn't really make a difference what you pick. I want to quickly, I did get into NEO, but we didn't get it all. It got to 79. I wanted it down at 75, 76. Obviously, we talked about that. Is what it is. We're going to end up missing it. If we get to VWAP, we're taking some out. Tesla was going to be, okay. So obviously, when all that was going on, it doesn't matter. Tesla, that 177, it is way too late for that. So there's the 77 level on Tesla.
Robinhood,
It just
wow.
tanked
Here
7. What the heck just happened on Tesla? It hit that 77 level and just tanked $3 in a couple of minutes. So once again, Tesla is doing, like, what the, whatever. We should have been short that, but
76 is.
I don't even.
Oh no.
That was so fast. I swear to you, I was looking at it, went to mention a couple of other things that were happening, looked back, and the stock was already down $3. So it's dying right now. We're going to try to buy the dip again in Robinhood. We did get it at that 40 level after the market opened up, and it's continuing to fly to the upside. But Tesla, wow, what's Rivian doing? Maybe there's an opportunity on Rivian. Now, Rivian's doing nothing, diddling in the middle. Okay. I don't want to get FOMO about that one, but it's hard to look at. If you like the short at 77 and you look at that chart too long, you're going to get some FOMO.
All right. Yeah, look, I hope everybody has checked out some of the notes today that we had talked about. I mean, Palantir long was on the sticky note. NVIDIA long on the sticky note. Hood long, right? I mean, all of these trades have really, really popped now. So here we go, nice little upside move. So we are getting right now a pullback in NVIDIA. So, I mean, this trade could go sour pretty quick. If this drops through 1245, we'll get out of it, and then we'll just have to regroup on this trade as it's coming back in. It looks like it does want to take VWAP. So there it goes back down to the downside. It's actually just at VWAP. Is it just at VWAP now? I should have looked a little bit closer at where that is. Yeah, we could probably buy this down here. Let's just wait to see if it holds this level one more time because VWAP is right here right now. So let's have a quick look. See, oh no, it does look like it does hold that 1244 area as we got a little excited and got out of that just a bit early on that move down
if
in.
If NVIDIA is curling, I'm going to trail Hood. Because the market the NASDAQ just got to the top and the ES just got to the top and pulled back a little bit.
Robinhood.
So if it breaks underneath the quarters, the 3/4 mark, I'm going to jump out of this trade. NEO's not really moving as much, but remember, If I take an SSR break, like a short sell restricted bottom, I like VWAP on those almost every single time. Like you get to VWAP, it's like take profit into VWAP on that bounce. Remember, it's short sell restricted because the stock is down 10% and something bad has happened. So let's go to Adara at the desk, trying to get some Neo out.
Not a ton of volume on this name so far, though it is increasing in volume, but we have app loving here. APP, this one up about 2 2/3%. Not seeing any news on this, but getting increasing social media attention over the last few minutes. So APP could be on watch here, guys.
Lovin, okay. I love that name just because of McLovin. I was waiting for
Adara to make a McLovin joke.
Yeah. She was not McLovin that joke. Okay, so we'll wait. So NVIDIA, again, I'm going to give it to 1240 right here. So we'll hold these 45s and see if it can go higher. We're flat on this trade right now. If you want to get out of it, fine. We just ran back up to 50. It's just dancing around VWAP. I mean, I say about these like area stops, and you know, it's kind of like that Tesla trade is a good example there because we really liked 76 short. So the problem with that is that on this kind of a crazy move early, if you just take the 76 short, you do get hit, and then 2 minutes later, it's all the way back in. So it's not to say that you want to, on this kind of a move, give it $1 higher or anything like that, but sometimes some of the ideas continue to work. It's like this 174 long. You know, if you like that long, then you could probably take it at 74.50 and then give it a little bit more room to the downside if that is something that winds up happening. So, all right, it looks like, I don't think this is the day of reckoning or anything like that, but you can see right here, NVIDIA is falling. There we go. So it's going to break. So we're going to get stopped out here and then put an L. So now we can't be up on NVIDIA because there it comes right back down in to the downside. Again, it's not like it's completely falling apart, but $10 up, $10 down. So put that one on the board as an L there for NVIDIA.
Pre-market low was the post-market, like, there was like a wick there, like at 430, at 1235. So that's the spot that I'm looking for reload. Like, I like breakout trades very differently from a dip buy. Like when you get a dip buy, it's a very different story, and like the range that you can be long here, like 37 to there. It's like a $4 risk, so you get up there, you're willing to hold a bit more. But when it's just a clean breakout, if it fails to break at an all-time high, I don't want to get trapped in it. But if we can get a bounce here off this, 33 looks like the low on NVIDIA. So if we can get a bounce off that, which it might already be doing before I get an order in, then I'm going to go for that. Robinhood is starting to teeter off a little bit. It got to 95s. Oh, goodness, I should have taken 90s there. Shoot, I should have been out. I thought I was on the offer at 95. I guess I was at 97. But I'm out of Robinhood now as it just dipped back in. It rejected 23.
I know.
But it looks like, yeah, NVIDIA, I just got in. If it loses this bottom, I don't want this to be a false break and then fight it too far. I'm going to stick with my style. I don't want to give up everything. I'll take a few shots at this, but if it continues to make fresh lows, I'm not going to fight this stock if it is a bit of a reversal day. Neo, we're still in, but I said VWAP is going to be a level for me, and we got to respect it.
So we just went in and shorted AMD. So right now, we're going to be 50 cents in the money on AMD, but that's just because AMD is down 1%. Okay, here we go. Did we just get that fill at 50? No, we're bidding 50 right now on AMD. So a little bit of a flush down there. We still are watching NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA is still making a lower move here. Remember, you know, the wind is going to come out of these sales. We already know that. This is going to drop 30% at one point. It's just at what point? So right now, nice little move here. Still up 0.7%. Crushing the market today is NVIDIA, but a little bit of a down move here to start with early. What's up, Adara?
Instacart / Maple Bear Inc. here. CART making new intraday highs, up almost 7% right now, approving a $500 million share repurchase program according to a Form 8 here. So nice look for Instacart making new day's highs as we speak, guys.
So GameStop made that break in the open market of 32 again, and it is absolutely flying. We totally forgot about this one. Well, I forgot about it. Strong runner in the afternoon yesterday. Above 32, it's like the squeeze is back on, and it's got a monster gap above the 32 level. So I'm going to look dip buy hunting just like we did yesterday. If it's VWAP, we'll let it drop. Like do one of these. There's your red candle. Make a higher low. Go into the long. If it does that, I'm taking long on that setup. I looked over at Micron because I felt like that rejecting a new 52-week high would be a short. And when NVIDIA turned around, nope. At least not one you're going to get. Intel is trying to bounce off the 30 level, but didn't quite get there. I'm actually going to cancel that bid, move on over to ARM, which is the other name which was up in sympathy. ARM is holding while NVIDIA's at 12.25 right now, and ARM is actually holding up.
Yeah, it's funny that AMD's also holding up.
Which I'm a little skeptical of. Part of me is like, well, I can literally short ARM here to 136. Like, why would I not be taking that shot if we're at 12.25? So, oh crap, I have to pay for locates on ARM. Right, I wasn't thinking short today, so I did not pay for locates on ARM. It'll be absolutely nothing.
NVIDIA is flushing like crazy right now, and it's funny because we have AMD and it's not really doing the same thing. Look at this big wick down, and we talked about 1,200 coming through for NVIDIA. I mean, this is going to be a big move right now. I mean, you're giving it all. Wow, you are giving it all up right there. This is a monster move back to the downside here for NVIDIA. So watch out. We said that it was going to come out at some point, and it looks like devastation potentially happening right now to the name. So let's just wait to see where we can go with this one, and if 1,200 comes into play or not. Man, oh man, do we make some of that money back right there on NVIDIA. Put this one into the dollar club right there on AMD, as there it is, man. We talked about that short, 165 and change right now, pointing at $1. We'll take that as it starts to go lower. Have the ability to switch up your mind. I mean, we took shots. We took shots on NVIDIA. There's no doubt about that, man. But we, take the lumps, go over there, don't worry about it, and get on something else and make that money back. So right here it goes to the downside now. Bye-bye, AMD. I'll see you around. But it's the NVIDIA story, man. Breaking now into 12.10 goes NVDA. Down goes the king today. Let's see how long it stays on the mat for.
Maybe not for a full 3 count, although I don't know objectively what a 3 count is in the market. Like, I think that's probably pretty subjective. Oh, Robinhood just dipped back into VWAP. I'm going to get there in a quick second. I paid for the locates. 1/8 of 1 cent is what it costs to have ARM short, or the privilege to short ARM. Robinhood, we did get out 80s, not 90s, but it's trying to make a bit of a dip here into VWAP. I still like this long because it had its own independent news, but if it cannot hold, we got to get out of it. Tesla is absolutely fully tanking. It's not just the chip names that you see flushing. It's now down at 173 and still falling. I'm going to get over to Rivian, which hadn't taken any support out. See, Rivian's a wild one. It is still in exactly the same range. Rivian's got to be a long if it gets down to 11.11, the way that it does not want to fall like everything else. But that story with NVIDIA, it just made a bit of a bounce off of 12.15.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this is going to be it. If Intel was at 30, I'd probably take a shot there. Micron had been relatively strong. If it was at 130, I think I'd take a shot on it as well. But we got to be a little bit patient. As far as Tesla goes, it's pretty darn close, but I'm waiting for the actual low to take a shot, and that was $172 yesterday. I don't see a need to step in the bid of this stock unless it's right at the level you want. Don't compromise on price if the market is tanking and you want long.
U.S. regulators looking into antitrust. NVIDIA, Microsoft, there's big news happening right now in the market. So this is exactly, look, man, the rich must want to get richer here and trying to buy some of these stocks up a bit cheaper. So let's wait to see. Let me guess, led by Nancy Pelosi? Is that what I'm hearing in my ear? No, let's just figure this all out. We'll get that news as
but Roaring Kitty is collusion, Sean.
Yeah. Well, probably.
That's not a problem.
I mean, probably he is, let's be honest. But at the same time, I think it's a fair playing field. So go for it, Kitty, go. But right now, we'll wait to see. I mean, look, if that's the story, obviously it's just hitting now to us. That's why it's fell. So it's not like hopping in now, you're getting an early advantage on this. I mean, there was a reason why some of this just happened. So let's just wait to see what winds up happening right now to these markets. We do initiate a brand new position here in Robinhood against some of these bottoms. So let's see. Nice move down here for Robinhood. This was one of the trades that we wanted to have on the board here today. So it does fall back in right into our lap. And let's see if we can take advantage of that. Robinhood, a stock that we like on a pullback. My out's still going to be 22. I mean, maybe even this 20, 2190 area. Hopefully we don't continue with a downside push, but we just got, reloaded on here on AMD. So let's get to the downside here and see exactly how disastrous this story is right now. As NVIDIA is getting clobbered again.
Gonna get here.
1200. I'm bidding 1204 just because I want to try to buy something down there. But right now it just got to 1208. NVIDIA has 1200 on its like anyways, so let's see what happens there for that. AMD we're short right now on advanced micro devices, and we still have the long in Robinhood, and that Robinhood trade is going to be a doozy. What's up, A?
So here's the story, what was going on with some of these AI-related names. Keep in mind, this was reported by the New York Times yesterday. It's actually in the watch list, but now currently circulating. A WSJ or Wall Street Journal report on this. FTC set to open an antitrust probe of Microsoft's AI deal. The commission has sent subpoenas to the tech giant and the OpenAI. So that would be this startup here. Also worth noting, according to that New York Times piece, NVIDIA being investigated as part of a joint deal with the DOJ and the FTC, but DOJ is responsible for the NVIDIA investigation, at least according to that New York Times report. But basically, this Wall Street Journal report circulating now, kind of confirming what we already heard from New York Times yesterday, guys.
All right, so NVIDIA does drop right into 1204 right there. And we had it. We could have just taken $2, but I don't know. Let's just see how far we can go upside now on NVIDIA. I mean, if we continue to drop down in, that's not good. We do have the short on AMD. So a break of 1200 is disastrous for this. So we'll have to wait to see what happens here on NVIDIA coming right in. Hopefully it goes. There it is again, stops at 1205. I think this looks like it wants to break. Obviously, I mean, that's pretty easy to say that.
Shoot,
and there is the break right there again. Nice downside move for NVIDIA, absolutely cleaning that trade and rinsing it all the way down. So there goes NVIDIA. Huge break to the downside. See you later, Sir Alligator, because that stock is gonzos.
So quick, yeah, I took the long at ones, one change. It popped into fives. I'm like, okay, we'll take some out there. We'll hold for tens. Before you could make a decision, I was considering whether I wanted to reload, and before I could even make the decision, I was out. I accidentally got long on ARM and immediately punched out. Like I had a bid in there. I didn't realize that I had two bids, and one was for more, and they ended up covering. We punched out of the long. I don't want the long here. We got the short on ARM. We're out of it. Now the only thing we're in is Neo and Hood. Still think you could catch a bit of a bid at some point, but I think you need to let these calm down. I feel like this is when it makes a higher low and puts in a green candle, will be better than when you're trying to catch falling knife kind of deals. So, this is one of those days of reckoning that you're probably going to get a $25 bounce minimum at some point on the stock, but guessing where it's going to be feels a little bit perilous. Tesla just got down to 73. Not quite the 72 level, but it's getting pretty darn close. Here is Tesla. As the NVIDIA flush still falling like a knife. That's the problem.
Wow.
Like those, when you get like all-time high fail breaks like that, the reversals are nasty. This is not the first time NVIDIA did something like this. It did this, like it was this break in here where it failed the top and then flush for the rest of the day, pulling back like $60, like a 6% pullback. This is even bigger. And of course, we still have that split. You never know what's going to happen. If you make an accidental position, usually getting out's the right deal. I got out of an ARM long that I did not want. It's already went $1.20 in 1 minute if I try to hold on to that position. And it was just a keystroke error. The long that we didn't
shit,
want.
what's going on with Robinhood? Robinhood is,
Yeah, I just got out of Hood.
like, I just realized this, like, I'm like, oh my God, I might have to get out of this name.
My stops have been at 2020 on these reloads. Like that's where we had it before. That's where we had the stop in
Did it
here.
just get up
and if
there,
it gets
or
down to
what was it doing?
21.6, that's the last line of defense. The only thing I'm in, oddly enough, when the market pulls back, is like the stock that was down on earnings this morning is the one that's bouncing and holding the bounce. Hashtag logic.
What is up with that?
If it gets to VWAP, I'm taking one more out. But the story to me is still going to be NVIDIA and trying to patiently look for some kind of a bottom or find a chip stock that isn't dying right now. So Micron's at 130. This is weird to say, but I don't wonder if like something like an Intel isn't decent. Like it's actually holding higher lows because when it was bad, everything was good, and maybe when Everything else is bad, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
we'll see
yeah,
what
yeah.
happens. Maybe it's like the reverse, like the inverse. But it is holding a bit as well on Intel. I would have looked to Micron at 130. NVIDIA is still plunging.
Oh, good.
Like, it's still 1190.
I mean, not
still
good
tanking.
for longs, but
there's no obvious level that I think you're going to put in until it gets to like 1175 or something. So I'm just going to look for an actual sign of strength, rounded bottom, higher low, something along those lines, and then I would take another shot at it. But you can get bounces. I should have taken everything out with that first $5. Would have been much better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were in so much money in NVIDIA and then wind up giving it all back. So right now we are looking at a short, obviously, here for AMD. I mean, we've reloaded that one. I don't really understand this because I feel like this should be flushing a heck of a lot as well. I mean, NVIDIA is really getting hit now, down 3%, looking to go lower and break 1190. Like that 1250, man, I mean, that was great to 1255. We're able to take something out. I can't believe we have 1255 fills today. We have fills $60 higher. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you do, as there's the break lower now and still going $65 right here. But it's this name that just continues to print for us. We've got hundreds of shares, not thousands, I wish, of AMD as it starts to come back in a little bit as well. So, yeah. Huge move to the downside here today. We knew that it was going to get cleaned up at one point, but to know when that point is, nobody knows. NVIDIA right there, nice move back in through 1188. Like, you want to talk about buying some of these dips? I don't even know when this dip is going to stop.
Novavax is at 20 here. Even Novavax is tanking. It's a squeeze name. It's falling down with it. You'd think that wouldn't happen because it's got its own news. So NVAX is about to break. Okay, never mind. It just broke the 20 level. That came and went. If it was going to hold 20, I was going to look for a long. I might try a long back in through, but I want to look to see very quickly if GameStop's doing the dip buy. I'd rather take the thing that is putting in higher lows than the thing that is at the bottom if I'm looking for a squeeze play to the upside. So I'd rather play GameStop on any kind of a bounce off 32. Once it shows me something, I'm going to try getting into that long. It's already 10 o'clock. That was fast. Let's get to the desk.
Fast.
We've got Darrow with happening now.
NVIDIA.
No shortage of things to talk about or things moving this market today. We did have initially earlier today a new intraday high for the NASDAQ. Now we have both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 pushing into negative territory for the day despite yesterday's strength, despite some strength earlier on. Some of this move contributed was attributed to this Wall Street Journal report, echoing a previous New York Times report saying that the FTC and the DOJ are looking into Microsoft, OpenAI, and NVIDIA. So a lot of these mega cap tech names initially propelling this rally, leading this group to the downside a little bit. So keep an eye on that story as it develops. Again, reported now by both the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. In terms of individual stocks moving, Neil just mentioned this one here. Novavax initially really strong on the day, now down about 5%. Initial catalyst moving this name, in addition to its significant short float, was the fact that the FDA Advisory Committee has apparently voted to recommend updated vaccines for its JN1 lineage composition, with Novavax expected to be ready for delivery by September. So nice look there for NVAX, though the stock has fallen a bit to the downside here. Lululemon also falling down. Initially trading up here, they did beat earnings across the board, but they actually did have weaker than expected guidance for Q2. So right now, LULU to the downside. Last but not least, Lyft. This one's still up about 10%, not reacting too much to the rest of the move in the market here. Having their investor day and providing 2027 financial targets. So nice look for LYFT. So much moving today, guys.
All right.
Yeah, there's a plethora of piñatas out there that are getting burst right now. Shout out to Jefe from one of my favorite movies of all time. You can look it up if you want. Good Canadian content. The GameStop just went back to 32. So look, it broke out right here, 31.77. It wicked that bottom and then came back through 32. So I took the long, more or less on the 32 break, and I'm giving it to the local bottom. So that's going to be like 31.70 or so. So looking for a bounce play here on GME. No Novavax for me. I just like GameStop, the thing making a higher low versus the thing which is running to the depths of hell, probably better. Robinhood also got down to this 21.6 level. So I jumped in when it curled at the 80s. I've got 81s, going to start getting this out in front of VWAP. These are potential bounce plays that stocks that were at least independent news, like GameStop's a squeeze play, Robinhood had its own news, as opposed to trying to find a bottom on these chip names, which it looks like they obviously did just make a bottom and bring the market up, but I'd rather I just preferred to go into something that wasn't in as much of a free fall and had a chance to go without the chips recovering. So Robinhood back into 22s. If it gets to 10s, 20s, we're going to continue to take some out. GameStop still rallying to the upside. We're going to ring the register on some of these as they go back into the upside. But what a ridiculous pullback that was, and you're right back at 1,200. See, you know there'd be like $25 move at some point, but good luck picking where it would be. 1175 would have seemed like a level, but good luck guessing it. You know, you probably just had to take pot shots at it every level and then hold the one that starts working, which really is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I don't
if you
think
just,
that's the end of the world.
in complete hindsight, like obviously you learn something every single day. I feel like if you just took every single like $5 bounce with a tight stop and then the one that goes, you hold for 10, you're probably laughing at that point if you deployed that. But, you know, I didn't think of that in the moment. Wish I had, but I didn't.
Yeah, samesies. Right there. Okay, so we're short right now at 1208 against that sort of 1210 area that we had looked at the first time and then didn't take it. We did wind up taking 12, of course. So it danced around that 1204 area. So if we can maybe get like a 1203 and change before we break through 1201, here it goes. 1210's my out. So here it goes, right back up to the upside. So I was trying to go 1-to-1 here as we talk about it, but it looks like it's going to break higher. This is just a small trade. I don't think the short in NVIDIA is something that, this is like a retracement. We just bounced 20.
I think the short is the way to go still.
Oh, maybe, but we just bounced $27. What I'm saying is like, I'm not, you know, necessarily thinking about this as an amazing opportunity to get short. Just let's play some weakness here back in a little bit. So we
I'm trying
can
to get arm short.
Okay, Neil's looking for ARM. I mean, I like all of that stuff right now. So let's go. We do have NVIDIA. Sorry, we do have AMD. Let's take out a piece here again. We've been getting a whole bunch out on AMD as that name continues to be one of those things where it's kind of holding AMD right now. So here we go, Randy. We're $4 in the money on this NVIDIA short, but it doesn't mean anything. We took long here. Will it break? No, it's going higher right now again. So I'm trying to see about a pullback into 1200 here and see if we can get this out. But for right now, that's what we're looking at. It's NVIDIA, it's Robinhood. Robinhood just got a little bit of a bounce up to 22. Let's see if we can hold on to that. But I just want to look at NVIDIA and see what can happen here.
Yeah, NVIDIA needs to
Thank you,
get
Randy.
to the downside for sure, because I
comes.
just got into a short myself. Robinhood rejected 22. I took some more out when it rejected the 22. GameStop is cruising. I'm still going to give it to break even.
Yes,
the reason I liked ARM was simply late break, pre-market low in there. It rejected 134. We grabbed it short on the way back down. We're going to get some out 133s and then play it from there. The market did make a bounce, no question about it. But I mean, when you get a reversal like that, I want to play the trend that just got set up. Neil's not really doing a heck of anything, so who cares? But if you're looking at strength, hey man, not everything is dead. Meta is about to break $500 and is at the high of the day. High of the day.
Meta's nuts.
Meta is a monster. Are we talking about a 500 break on Meta today? Did anybody put your hand up if you were thinking 500 break on Meta today? And I know nobody in this floor is going to put up their hand because we're all looking elsewhere, which I still think was the right decision. But ultimately, you just play the trade that's in front of you. So if this is strong, dip buys on Meta is going to be a jam. ARM looks like it took out that local high but wicked it. So if that ever happens to me, and I still like the trade, when I say wicked out, I just mean that it broke the resistance level, I got the top wick, and then it immediately slams back underneath. When that happens, I'm going to try to jump back in the trade. I don't want to chase too far. I still want to price pretty much at the 134. GME is getting to trail levels now. That has been, you know, higher low, but it's kind of failing in front of VWAP and 33. I want this high. If we get the high, like 33.5, I'm jumping out of the trade. The dip buy already worked. Robinhood just broke 22, so that's continuing to go to the upside. Yeah, I'm not looking gift horses in the mouth on any longs, though. Now, like the way that reversal played out, I'm not in the mode of, let's hold on to the longs for the rest of the day. It's not my style of trade whatsoever. So we're going to take the profit as we get into VWAP here on Robinhood.
Yeah, Robinhood's going to look like a good one here at the end of the day. So let's just keep on seeing where it goes. And I agree with that. We're out some more at 22. And there it goes. Like, you know, good. We just talked about getting out right there. So we did. I put another offer at 22.10 and then 22.15 just to see. I don't know if VWAP's coming or not. The market is a dangerous one for sure. It's funny because Randy was just over my shoulder and we actually got out at 12.03 there. On that short of 08. So we take $5 and then we lose $2 and change a little bit there, breaking back through at 12. We got a 71 cents. So once it broke 10s, we had to pay 71s for it. So we did get a piece out. So this trade, although it's a winning trade, it's like I said, it's not a great one. It would have been much better to have like indicated, oh, we're out all the way down here, but that would be a lie. So we did not. We only got half out there, half out there. We were waiting for the flush back in. Did not happen. But meanwhile, we went over and just said, you know what? This is actually at VWAP and the 200 and the 50 period moving average, so let's take a little bit more short here on AMD. I was waiting a little bit higher because I want to give it to 166, like 166.10 or something like that, those wicks. So I want to wait a little bit higher before we, you know, have an actionable amount of shares, like a decent share size there on AMD. So let's wait for 166 to break higher, and if that does happen, then of course we will get out of it. So yeah, so far decent. Nice move back. Obviously, we talked about Robinhood. It just went to 06s there again, and we are at 10s. So let's just, I don't even know what's up with Robinhood. It seems really strange how much it's moving around right now. So I don't know. But again, on that deal with Bitstamp, crypto, pretty strong there, 38 and 72. So let's see if that can continue to work. And here comes AMD. Our reload area to add to this position, because we've been getting out of it. It's a hugely net positive stock for me. But we have to wait to see what happens up here at VWAP before we get a little bit more. We will cash some out again as we break through 165.
And speaking of things that are flying, 99 is the new high on Meta. It's getting real close. We stared at 1200 on NVIDIA for an hour and a half. I don't know what I don't know what's going to happen at 500, but you know, if we stare at 500 for an hour and a half today, then so be it on Meta. If we get a dip buy in a 96, I'll go for that as well. I have a trailing stop in on GameStop, and I'm going to get to Neo. I'm hesitant to reload this if it gets back into the bottom. See what's happening at $4.90. This is one of those, if it breaks 490, wait for 5. And if it doesn't break 490, get the heck out underneath 82. Like someone is just on the offer holding it for now 15 minutes, and it got to VWAP. So I can take a hint, meaning hold the entire thing for $5 or, you know, whatever. This could be headed back down to the lows. It's a nasty, nasty stock. I was going to talk about 5, that SSR bounce, but who cares? GameStop, I'm moving my trail up to 33.15. Still feel like it made a false break that I want to get out of. So I'm not really counting on this breaking out the top. And if it breaks out the top, I want that to be a separate trade here on GME. Up about $1.15, but I'm going to lock it in above 33 if we can get it.
Yeah, I hadn't looked, shout out to Jarhead there. Yeah, I hadn't looked at, I have not looked at GME yet, is what I'm getting at, as Neil was just talking about it. So we'll leave that a little bit alone now as he was just going over it. So just real quick, Shopify does come down into that $60 mark. We sort of talked about that right off the open. It was sort of down there already on that downgrade. I never heard of whoever that was that downgraded these guys, but Shopify, again, I really like the level. I think it can break higher there. One of these, you know, sort of crush names there on Snapchat.
Mustache Capital.
Mustache Capital talked about it, yeah. But yeah, that's a good, you know, Katina Capital upgraded this thing before down at 57.58, but it was the 60 break that we thought could get this name going, and then it didn't really get going. Really, it got to 62 yesterday, so I still like this name to come back in. Good play on Robinhood. We just got some more out there on. I don't know why AMD's not. Obviously, all the money and all the look should be over there on NVIDIA. I was just trying to think about eventually AMD coming through, but it doesn't look like it. We always say, like, the strength is in NVIDIA. Today, it looks like it's almost in AMD. So we'll have to watch out as NVIDIA wow, remember we were down, oh my God, it's down 2.7%. Well, it's just made back 2% of that, like real quick. Now, probably going green later on today. Join the club there with NVIDIA as there it goes, nice move higher. We'll average in again to AMD when the time is right. Robinhood is absolutely hot dogging right now, going right back up to the upside. So that was a really good one to go as well, man. I see that Meta broke 5 bills. I don't even want to. The account right now must be singing in the long term, and that's a dangerous thing to look at because I'm not going to get out of anything, but that was a good one there. So NVIDIA seriously is going to go green, people in the chat saying, yeah, I mean, why not? All it has to do is go up another $5 or so, and I think that would be close to green. Where did we close yesterday? We closed at 12, right there, yeah, 12.25. So yeah, we're not too far away from that, right? Was that yesterday? Yeah, so 12.25. So yeah, $10 away from that. Okay, but we're getting close. I mean, we're right at VWAP right now. So we're trying to play off 166. Remember, VWAPs are like points of interest for me, not necessarily like let's attack these levels. So let's just see what happens. We've already sort of averaged in. We do have a bigger order up here just in case it goes. But yeah, strength in AMD, weakness in NVIDIA, like it's bizarro world for me over here. So let's just wait to see if we can get some more short now in AMD. It's getting close to that level.
So you'll see I am now out of GameStop. I put a really silly stop order on Meta. I'll get there in a second, but I'm out of GameStop. It did not make that break at 34. You kind of rejected 33.5. So we're going to go station to station. 32 takes him out in front of VWAP. Hold for the hump. If it's a fail break, it's kind of like a head and shoulders pattern, which I don't want to be the end of me. And then one quick thing on Robinhood. So Robinhood, remember 2240, that was that break. That was that high of the day, double top that we originally took. If it's a failing underneath it, I'm getting out because it's a false break above that top. I only want longs that are carrying through VWAP and holding, so 2 separate trades. We'll go long off that bottom in front of 2160. Above 2240 is a separate trade for me. So we got the bounce play on Robinhood. We'll let it be what it is. When it broke 500 originally, we talked about how much you have to cross to get orders. Suffice to say, you got to cross more than a couple of cents. But I was able to get it at 25, so I just kind of put it on the bid after it had already gone to 501. So I did not get the break, but we're in it now. We'll see where Meta goes. I feel like it's the strongest stock in the market, but I haven't looked at everything, so I can't promise you that Apple isn't doing something crazy as well because I have not really looked at Apple. If Meta gets back into the ones, we'll see if we can't grab some out there. Oh, no, never mind. It immediately failed at 50s. So we tried to get it. If we had played it the first time through, I would have been able to scalp some out, and maybe we'd be talking reload, but I do not want to get caught in any top-end breaks today. Not today. If you fail a break of a high, I'm jumping out after what happened to NVIDIA. I already had that plan in NVIDIA, and as we speak, it looks like NVIDIA is rolling back under. Which means why am I? Yeah, well, ARM made another high. I feel like there's a better name than ARM. If I'm going to try something in sympathy, Micron is very weak. You see the bounce in NVIDIA relative to the one in Micron? Like $30 bounce, 3% on NVIDIA, only down 1.5%. Micron's down 2.5%. Its bounce was nothing. So that tells me that Micron's a little bit weaker, and I'd rather be shorting this as opposed to ARM, which just climbed above VWAP. So VWAP will be red on ARM because we're shorting it when it was kind of strong. We should be going into something like a Micron, which is telling you that it's relatively weak in the chip names.
All right. Yeah, I am still trying to hold out hope. First of all, for AMD, I mean, we're not necessarily getting that print into the 80s that we'd like to get, but this is really strong, and congratulations, 1320 Wolf is long, which has been great. I mean, we like AMD. I mean, AMD's been a favorite stock of mine. It's my #1 stock today, so we like that one. My #1 losing stock, obviously, there goes Hood, man. I mean, Robin Hood is in the building again. Like, look at that trade right there to the upside for Robin Hood. Like, when it was crashing in, like when this move happened, I didn't really understand it exactly. We'd written down Robinhood 2150, so that came pretty close. We sat there. We actually have a lower bid in the 60s just in case. I mean, we're always going to do that. But right there, 2180, a good little long to support. It did break through 23, so we did get some out there. We didn't get out of everything because I didn't understand what was happening. Reload that there, and now back up to the upside. Okay, here comes AMD starting to print a little bit now. We're only short here at 30s. So So, or sorry, yeah, 36 is. So this out at the 50 period needs to be taken because that's what we do. Regardless of what our price is, if we're gonna bounce a little bit there, we'll take out 10% or not even 10% there. Wish it was more. Came back in and then stopped. NVIDIA just bounced off 12. So that could be an issue right there. I mean, it gets as low as 11.95, but still, like, I've been shorting AMD, right? So shorting AMD at the same time as shorting NVIDIA, we would be short now $10, $15 in the money if we just went over to NVIDIA. Instead, we are out of the money on AMD. So just goes to show you that you got to pick the right stocks, and we are not doing that today, as we should be. If I'm feeling the short in the chip names, we should be doing that with the one that's relatively weaker, obviously, and there goes NVIDIA. It was just up. Remember, we said 0.8, and I was like, oh, it's almost there. It's $5 away from going green. Yeah, well, now it's $25 away from going green as it goes lower. And of course, the arch nemesis of mine, apparently, AMD, keeps going higher. And there it goes. Watch out. Here it goes. I mean, AMD has it underneath it for sure. Oh, wow. And there's a little pullback for AMD. Let's take advantage of that and get some out. Wow, we are in the money now on AMD. Okay. Wow, this is like checks. Oh, I'm not wearing the smartwatch today. I was going to say check watch, see heart rate, but no. It's funny because we were doing the podcast yesterday and my resting heart rate all morning was like 68 or something like that. And
Yeah, I'm curious.
Brendan thought that was pretty impressive. So
Only because you.
all right, Robinhood right now 30 and going higher right now, 22.38. Good recovery there for AMD. Like, I don't know who just mass sold that thing, but we took advantage of it right now.
1,200 battle on NVIDIA right now.
Yeah, I see that. We were just talking about that. It went down as low as 11.95 there, but here we go. Nice move back in for AMD. I am littered on the bid here to get some out, 40s and then in the 20s. So let's see if that can come through, and then we'll wait for a little bit lower. We might have just got lucky there on that flush down, so we are taking some out here, guys.
Yeah, with that battle, Micron just broke its low of the day. So I was looking, remember we were just talking about looking for short off of this like 30.5 level, but it just broke the low of the day, which is also this ramp job spot yesterday at 129.50. So I'm looking for the scalp down into the 129 and see where it can go from there. I just missed GameStop. Missed it by that much. GameStop, we got out, it did the dip, there's a dip 33, like let's get it on the way back up, let's go. Don't get it at 33, it's right back into the high. Tried it, but that's the pattern I want. Let it go into the dip buy level, allow it to get down there, try to catch it on the way back up. This is probably not gonna care what the market's doing, but it can't hurt that the market's going up. So GME doing some strong things. NVAX, I don't want to ignore NVAX, but it's not looking very good. See what happened when GameStop caught a bid, how it's flying to the upside? NVAX bounces off 20 and goes to 20.5. It was at $26 earlier. NVAX is still in the penalty box at this moment, so I'm not going to be trying the long there. I'd rather catch these dips in something which is trending strongly to the upside. It's past 10 o'clock. Some trends are obvious. The chips are going to the downside. This squeeze name is going up. Apple, which we hadn't looked at, Apple's trying to break out the highs, so Apple is looking very good. I had mentioned I hadn't even looked at the stock. It's looking fantastic. Apple, once again, stable and reliable, just like Adara with the small cap recap.
IWM running into some resistance at that 204.70 area right now, trying to hold on to support at 204. Overall, definitely weak on the day is the Russell 2000. A couple small cap movers to talk about. We do have Coursera here, COUR. Not seeing any news on this one. They're up about 5%, so not as big of a move, but about a $1.1 billion market cap, and worth noting because they do have a slight short flow percentage here, 5.5% short flow for Coursera. We also have FRGT here, up about 140%, getting close to the highs of days. One of the stronger small cap runners today. They announced they have some new client updates. So nice look here for FRGT. Last but not least, VRAX. This company is called Virax. They're also up over 100% of the day, though they are falling off a little bit here. They no news on this one, but they have a float of about 1.73 million shares. So smaller float here for VRAX. A couple runners trying to hold on to some gains, guys.
I was just saying to Neil, like, what is going on with AMD here as it just continues to go higher and higher and higher through some of these levels. But there it is, 166 breaking.
Easiest trade of the day.
Yeah.
I don't even look at SMCI, but when NVIDIA was turning around, SMCI fail broke $800 on a dime, and it never, like it fail broke here, went to 802.30
happening?
and never reclaimed it. You could have shorted 800 or 799.99 or whatever the hell you wanted, and with $2.50 worth of risk plus slippage, probably look at this stock more often.
AMD is just
like I'm over here in Micron, which just made a fresh low, but has now come back in. So we got the scalp trade. I'm looking for a lower high to jump back into it, and then GameStop, I still feel that this could be, if it's going to hold VWAP and take out highs, it's a bit of a gap fill that's happening on GME. So when I say gap fill, I mean this one, 32, and then the top here was like $38. Now, I'm not saying it's going to $38 today, so please don't at me if it doesn't get to $38, but I just believe it could make another run at the high, and I want to go dip buy hunting, hold through a break of resistance. The next resistance would be 34. So if it breaks 32.80, I would be out of any trade. I already have a stop order. Check that. Good thing I checked it because that stop order was still underneath 32 and not 33. So I'm going to get a stop order underneath VWAP. Just be ready to go. And if we get a dip into 33, I'm grabbing some GameStop.
All right, like AMD, like you guys were just mentioning there, it's way too strong as it goes all the way up into 167. Again, that's sort of these pre-market highs with that 200 period moving average, which is what we were trying to hold against. But now it's trying to pull back just a little bit. NVIDIA is still motoring, man. I don't like, still dollars at a time. This is just going to be such a better stock, I feel like, to look at some levels once it gets going through the 10-to-1 split. But for right now, yeah, going, gone. It's a good thing we still have this Robinhood on board here with a decent amount. So let's put another offer here at 35 and just get some more out as there it goes, it breaks through and we get it. But nice move there. Wish we would have stuck with some of those AMD 164s. We had even talked about AMD, how much we liked it down there at 164. But wow, the move continues. This name, like, okay, you know, it was weaker at one point, but we've gotten run over shorting AMD because I don't believe it all the time. And this time it is for real. Congratulations to anybody that was long. We talked about that with 1320 Wolf, was saying that he was long. So, yeah, I mean, if you pick that up off of 164, that's just a great long. That was a level that we had looked at a couple times. The thing is that it broke into 160, but 164, you're going to see, I just remember it because we trade it every day. It's kind of like Tesla 174, Tesla 176. Let me see what's going on with Tesla quickly here. 173, it's not doing, no. It's trying to do something at 173. We talked about that yesterday, what it did at 172 earlier on, bounced around there before heading northbound. But that was a huge market day yesterday. Tesla just kind of went with everything else there. All right, Robinhood, again, more highs coming for them. NVIDIA back to that 1210 area, sorry. Again, still well under everything, still down 1.5%. AMD, if we're going to try it, would be right here at 167. So this could be worth a try. But these highs are still right here, 167.30. So potentially worth something up here. Let's just try a little bit against that 167.30, just trying to play a retracement because NVIDIA just failed again off of 1208. So maybe something in a short here for AMD as we continue to retrace this one back in, but not giving this one much more above 167.
Yeah, speaking of not giving things enough room, look, if you give the breakout more room on Meta, obviously it's going to work. That said, if you just, whoa, I don't want that dip. If you buy the dip, like look at the candle, rejection, bounces off 99, then you get it back off of the 99 level, like let it hold something. So the previous high is 501, let it hold 501. And then if it makes another press higher, get the long off of that level instead of just standing in front of a falling knife. GameStop's getting pretty darn close as well. But we do want to wait for the $33 level. There's a lot of names that are moving that we're not covering. So I just want to acknowledge LULU here for a quick little second. LULU made a pretty hefty bottom at 315. And you can see it bouncing into VWAP, double bottom right now on Lululemon. So they're giving up pretty much the entire earnings gap. Save like $7 or so. So double bottom right now on Lululemon at 315 would be a good spot. I'd like to see it maybe not be dying as it goes into that level to try to take a long. It was a mixed quarter for them anyways. I don't think it was, you know, it wasn't as good as maybe like 11%. I feel like what the stock had been doing weighed into that, which was not very good, so it didn't take much to bounce.
All right, I'm just thinking about this trade now, 22, 97 or so. If we break lower here on Palantir, might be worth something. We did short a little bit more on AMD. We're only 30 cents in the money on that. I mean, we're going to need a bigger retracement back in, like into VWAP or something like that to get going again on this. Maybe we'll bid at 166 and just be lucky to get that if we're able to. So let's put a bid down there and see if it does go into that level. Just playing off 167. So right here, if you were going to go 1-to-1, I mean, we could do it right now. We're short at 75. We're getting out if it breaks 67. It's at 166.50. So that's 1-to-1 right now, risk to reward on AMD. We're going to try to play for a retracement back, but that's not a bad level there if you're scalping it. So, and it's a 200 period, and it just went down even lower than that. It went into 30s right there. So it actually does a strong bounce off of that level again. Wow, this name is really, really strong. We're in almost no shares, so that's why we're not doing it. A little bit closer, maybe we can try, but like a break of this one, no good. So the reason why I'll talk about Palantir is it's almost coming back in. That's the 200 period moving average. I like those for retracements. We miss it right there on the NVIDIA sort of mayhem that happened in and around 10 o'clock, but that just came right in. We were lucky enough to get Robinhood, but we did not focus on Palantir, which we should have. So that name definitely down there. If we get an opportunity to do that, let's do it. I mean, we're now 70 cents in the money on Robinhood. This is only a $22 name, so this is quite a big move off that bottom there for Hood. So let's stick in it and see what happens now. Robinhood.
Speaking of getting back in, gimme. I just got GameStop. There we go. Just got Meta. Want to give it down into this local bottom. So we wait for the green candle, buy it on a little bit more strength, and then we're going to give it to the local low. There's a couple of halts happening, but before we get to those, GameStop did make a bounce. There it is, right into VWAP. We grabbed 33s again, see if we can get another move back into the upside. But it's this FRGT that keeps on halting over and over again so far at the open. It's done it's good volume, 140 million shares. It just down halted. The breakout was $1.30. That's also VWAP, so that kind of lines up pretty good. If it opens back up and bounces off of VWAP, I think you got something with FRGT. But just be careful with these halt trades. It's only the second one of the day, although I count 3. Oh, no, yeah, it's only 2. Never mind, because it tells you when it resumes. So a couple of halts in there only on FRGT. Now all of a sudden NVIDIA looks like it could be breaking out. No, I don't like the long here. I got to think about whether I'd even consider going long on this. I still feel like it could be in a bit of a downward trend. But let's go to the Dara. We've got crypto update.
Okay.
So Neil just mentioning Robinhood. So we'll talk a little bit here about this story with regards to Robinhood buying this crypto exchange Bitstamp. This is part of Robinhood's ongoing efforts to expand outside of the US. Bitstamp is based in Europe, and also Robinhood, starting in December 2023, began allowing its European customers to trade crypto. So nice look here for Robinhood's continued expansion. This deal is valued at around $200 million, and it's expected to close the first half of 2025, all cash deals. So a few more details and some more insight into that Robinhood story, guys, here. We also have Bitcoin continuing to push above into that 72,000 area of resistance, making some higher lows and seeing a little bit of support here on the daily chart at that previous resistance level around 67,000 that we touched in mid to late April and then again in mid-May. So nice look right now for crypto on the daily. Right now, Bitcoin just above that 71,000 level, 71.2 right now. Ethereum quite nicely above that 3,800 level, just shy of 3,850. BNB continuing its upward trajectory as well, and pretty much all these crypto names to the upside, but not all up a great amount. We have Ripple up about 0.13%, Dogecoin about 0.2%, Cardano basically flat on the day here, but Avalanche a little bit stronger of a look here, up about 2.5%. So mixed look here for crypto, but generally pretty positive, guys.
All right. All right. Whoa, 168. Okay. I was just going to try this against 168 here on AMD, but for right now, it's just going to be like a 10-cent stop or so. As we just took a hit, we tried to short 167. You guys saw me do that. And right now, we're starting to get Oh, there it goes. Okay. So super strong name continues to go up, man. NVIDIA and AMD today. Wicked names. It's going to be a nice trade, obviously, for Robinhood. We'll get another piece out right now. I cannot. Standing in front of some of these names has been absolutely disastrous. As you know what, like AMD going one way, Micron, see you later the other way to the downside right now and still going lower. Trying to bounce now off of 130, but wow, that AMD just keeps on going. I still feel like there's a big short
Well,
here, but
Micron's
it's
bouncing.
been nothing. Yeah, it's bouncing right now.
Yeah, look, Micron was definitely weaker. We had a good scalp trade, then the reload no good. It just took out the 130. I think you wait for VWAP or some kind of defined level, like 130 and a half, something.
Why not just be long?
Like it's just not moving enough. Like if it's going to be a reversal, you know, you got to find something to the long side. We talked a little bit about Apple. I mean, we're into Meta, but Apple's putting in here. Let me do this for you because it's easy to see visually, but okay, that's a dirty trend line.
Hood.
You get the idea. Apple's holding a bit of a trend. That's not the best. I could draw it a little bit better, but if it hangs on to this trend, I think back through VWAP, you get some strength in Apple. Meta's trying to make a run as well. Like it just bounced, holding that higher low. So if it takes out the high, I want to get out on a break of the high, getting into threes, and then try to hold for some momentum back into the upside. What else we got going on here that could be a bit of a long off the bottom? There was also that SMCI, maybe. ARM was relatively strong. So we had the first short on ARM was good, second short not. Now ARM is breaking out the top. So if you're looking for something in the chip space that's really strong, ARM could take out yesterday's high without even NVIDIA getting to VWAP. So I think this one looks pretty strong if we continue this move to the upside.
All right. Yeah, everything is looking super, super strong. When you're looking at some of these names, I mean, including that Meta break through 500, now at 502 and still trying to go there as well. So, I mean, Meta still taking out some of those highs. The name that we really have liked, of course, was Apple, and we're not in it today. And it's kind of flat. I mean, you know, nice move up. Where's my mouse? Nice move up, then this push back down in right now for Apple. So, I mean, this could be a good long if we like the name. I like the name. So, I mean, down into here, 195 maybe. But when you're looking at these futures, it just takes a simple look. You're above VWAP, above the 50 period, and we did hold 19,000. We got as low as 19,030. But again, this is like that NVIDIA flush. So it only dropped 100 points on the NASDAQ. So there is strength in the NASDAQ today. And it has nothing to do with Apple. So, and even NVIDIA with a nice pullback into 1220 right now, that could be something to look at there as well. Robinhood, we did get the dollar. We got, well, almost. We got 73s. That's where it is right now. So, you know, again, I don't think that, I mean, if it breaks $23, great. We won't have that much on. So we're not necessarily banking on something like that. But we'll wait to see if Robinhood can get up to that $23 mark before we really do anything. And then, yeah, we've really missed looking at GameStop, but I know Neil's been on that one. Just quickly, another name. It's 12:34. We have lots of time. I don't know why I'm saying quickly.
10:34.
Sorry, 10:34. Yeah, that Tesla bottom at 11 at 173 was good. Yesterday we had it at 172. Looks like it's trying to hold right now as well. So far so good on Tesla holding the bottom. Still down that 0.67 market trying to make up its mind here.
Yeah, the market is kind of pulling back a little. I mean, well, the ES is pulling back when the NASDAQ is breaking higher. The break happened on Meta. It went right up to that 03 level and back in. So I said on the break, we'll get some out. If it dips, I'd still look for a reload somewhere. The first break was no good, so we bought a dip. So I feel like buying dips on Meta is going to be the better way to play. I say this every single day. Buying dips tends to be a little bit better than taking just every single breakout. Breakouts like the NVIDIA one yesterday where it consolidates are so much better because it shows you that it's going to be significant by its actions. When you just take a break the first time, it can be hit or miss. Let's get over to the desk. We've got Adara with news.
Not a ton of volume on this, but keep an eye on Globe Life here. GL having a bit of a drop here in the chart and the largest volume candle we've seen all day. Bear Cave issuing a report here on the company titled Problems at Globe Life. They already have a bit of a short float around 4%. So keep an eye on GL. Again, not much volume, but this one getting circulated around Twitter right now, guys.
Hold on a second. Didn't this already have... Did this already happen? This is a deja vu.
That was a big move.
Yeah, it went from $105 to $40 already.
Yeah.
This is this stock. So if it, I don't know. Yeah, like if it doesn't break 80, like this is, I guess it's a different short report, I'm assuming. Okay, so I guess they're piling on Global Life right now. But if it can't hold 80, just be careful. But just remember, this is not the first rodeo for GL. And look at the recovery on this. I will say this every single time there's a short seller report. If you get a bottom and then you hold that bottom for 2 or 3 days, as a trade, it tends to be worth a bit of a long, straight up. And it happened with Square. I'll never forget the block one. And then if you took this one on GL, obviously it would have worked out, hindsight being 2020. If $80 holds, I think you want this sucker to the long side somewhere. But yeah, we'll let it settle down. It hasn't even done any volume. 300,000 shares. It's not even moving right now. I just wanted to make sure everyone saw that daily chart. It's a big story anytime there's a short seller report, but clearly everything's in context. Yeah, now NVIDIA is absolutely flying. Looking like a possible dip buy here in AMD, not AMD, Meta, but if NVIDIA is going to break back out, where do I want the long is the question I'm trying to ask myself. I don't want to chase anything. I want to try and find an actual setup that works, like another dip into a higher low. That could work. 1200 could also work. I'm noticing Micron's at VWAP as well. And I do like the short on Micron. If it got to VWAP, I'll let it get there. If it curls off VWAP, I'm probably going to short Micron just playing with the trend, but I'm not thinking the same thing with NVIDIA.
Yeah, and like NVIDIA's almost back to, well, it is back to VWAP, but like, wow, great move off 1200 right there. I'm really impressed with, I mean, AMD is now at 169. I mean, you want to talk about a level that just keeps on going. Yeah, I know Palantir super strong. I mean, that's, oh man. That's another missed opportunity down there on Palantir. I mean, it's a good thing that we got Hood. There's no doubt about that, but definitely a miss there on PLTR. I still like Tesla. I'm still looking at scanners to see if there's anything that's really moving outside of some of the names that we've been looking at, but because we don't need to obsess over the same names over and over again. But at the same time, JP Morgan, I mean, I'm trying to look at some bank names. Lulu, you already touched on that. I mean, Uber, we had some Lyft news earlier on today, so we could see if there's anything happening with Uber right now. 60, yeah, wow, I mean, another really strong stock, Uber. With not too much in the way of like a catalyst here for Uber other than whatever that news was, and we're going to have to figure that out. But I didn't see anything Uber specific, but a nice move off of that bottom. We really like that 62, 63 area there for Uber. Yeah, CRM probably, again, on those dip buys. I wonder if it's better to buy. I was saying about buying the Dow Jones versus like a name like CRM, because CRM's already made that move up, and then the diamonds, the DIA, you're going to get other beat up names in here as well. And not that CRM's beat up. I mean, it's beat up from its highs. It's made a nice move the last couple of days. But you also get Intel and United Health, and obviously if you look up what is in, yeah, UNH doing pretty good. As you see what else has been here, the diamonds and the Dow has been underperforming the rest of the market. So that could be a place to look for sure. What's up, Blaze Wavy? I like that. I like that name. Shout out to you and Adara over at the desk, I think.
Boeing here on watch, still slightly down to the day, but we did get a nice little volume spike here with this green candle on news that apparently, or is this a report here that the Saudia Group, which is a larger airline carrier in the Middle East, is apparently looking to place Boeing 787 or Airbus orders, and they'll place later this year. So not necessarily they will place, but they're looking to at both Airbus and the Boeing 787. So interesting catalyst here. Boeing getting a little bit of a move off that. Keep an eye on BA, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. Boeing also, we already said it this morning, they had a successful launch. So they're sending a couple of NASA astronauts up to the International Space Station. So someone asked me, did I get stocked out on GameStop? Absolutely. We talked about getting the dip right here in front of the support level. It broke. I got out. On the way back up, look, I did make an attempt to get back in. Like I got wicked out. I'm going to throw the bid as it breaks back up. Do we catch it? We don't. But you have to pick the lane you're going to be in. Like for me, if I'm going to have that stop and look for a re-entry and try to take the smaller hit, then sometimes you're going to miss getting back into the trade because it happens really fast. So I did miss getting back in up through VWAP here. I'm trying to get it on the bid of GameStop. Micron just got to VWAP, so we did get a reload there. If I get back in, I don't want to get too much FOMO in Robinhood, but it dipped. When I was looking at GameStop, it dipped into the 40s, and I was looking for a hold above 2240 to get back into this. It did just that. So there was your consolidation dip in front of the 52-week high. So I think a consolidation here looks good, and we'll try to grab some 50s, and if 40 loses it again, we can always get back out. So just have an out on your trade, stick to your plan and all that good stuff. And I feel like Apple was the other thing where Apple, so there's like Apple trying to hold the higher low. Not convinced just yet. Not nearly looking as strong as it was earlier in the day. So let's be patient with Apple and step off of Apple for a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm looking for like that 131 break there with Micron on VWAP as well, just to try to get long. But that's a good one there.
That's my bad.
All right, just waiting to see what's happening. We're still in Robinhood. I really, really want to short AMD, but we've been going back and forth with AMD all day to no avail, actually. So I don't know. I mean, whether or not this 169 is the top, we don't want to just keep on doing the same thing, but we are starting to push down just a little bit. Micron also pushing down. So potentially there's going to be a top here in AMD, but just as you think that, it goes from 40s right back to 70s again. So AMD continues its strength. Over to the board for Sector Watch with Adara.
Bit of a switch up here in these tech sectors from what we've seen recently. In electronic technology, a lot of weakness in these chip names. AVGO to the downside, NVIDIA more or less flat. But meanwhile, in technology services, lots of strength here. Google, Meta, both very strong. And CRM, Salesforce, just mentioned over there on the big desk. We actually did have a catalyst with this one with regards to them opening their first AI center in London. So nice look here for CRM and this overall tech services sector, especially compared to electronic technology, which is usually a little bit stronger with those chip names. In other sectors, we have some strength here in health technology, a little bit of strength in retail trade with Costco getting an upgrade from Telsey this morning to the upside. Consumer services, transportation, Uber, as Lyft has its investor event, Uber getting a little bit of a move up here as well. A little bit more mixed performance though in finance and consumer durables, lots of weakness in producer manufacturing. So all over the place, but the biggest thing to note here is the switch up in what we're seeing in these two tech sectors, guys.
All right, we just got to reload in Meta off of the 500 level. So you can draw trend lines from lots of places, but sometimes I'll do it from breakout levels. But since the failed break of 500, I'm calling it a failed break even though it's above 500, it put in this bottom here at like 99. So if it were to hold this, you would form a new trend line. Until then, I'm just using the 500. If it breaks underneath 500, I'm getting out. I reloaded, not reloaded into Micron because I got out of Micron. So it's a new trade in Micron off the 131. It got down to 130.40. I was able to get some out scalping out there, and now you're right back into this 31. So if we break 31, we're jumping out.
Okay.
Still no GameStop yet for me. Let me just cancel this bid. Obviously, I was trying to get that on the way back up. Now that it could be bouncing, I'll look for the first green off 33 and try to punch long here on GameStop again. Back to Adara.
Yep.
Lots of intraday stories here today, guys. We actually just had one here on Altria, MO, pulling back a little bit here, but still up about 0.6%. The Wall Street Journal reporting that the FDA has rescinded its ban on Juul e-cigarettes. So as a tobacco name here, Altria, MO, getting a little bit of move to the upside in this catalyst, guys.
Altria, okay.
All right, Altria going. All right, so yeah, that's it there. MO, I guess. We can have a quick look to see what's going on with this. Yeah, so there it is, a nice move to the upside here. 47 and change, pulling back in off of that. Robinhood still goes higher. AMD just breaks. I mean, AMD might be a 170, man. I mean, I don't even, straight up. This is straight up $6 right there off the bottom. So, okay, hands up and put your hands up in the air. So right here, NVIDIA again. Nice pullback a little bit, but we are bouncing a little bit here off VWAP. Potentially worth a little bit of a try there if you did think that the market got a little heated right now. I mean, you're only up 0.14. We saw this market yesterday absolutely just rip into the afternoon and just not stop to the point where it was up 2% yesterday. So to think that this is not it, this is not it. Yeah, stick to your rule and don't trade MO, says Hamster. Do I have a rule about that? Okay, so I'll stick to that rule.
Is that Altria?
Yeah, I have an Altria rule. You didn't know about that?
Well, no.
No, yeah, nor did I. But we'll find out what Hamster's talking about right there.
I'm actually 90% sure that you've traded Altria on the show.
Yeah. I mean, but again, I think it's just, maybe it's in reference to like news plays and stuff like that. But I don't, I heard the story. It didn't seem like an immediate anything. So we'll wait to see.
Oh, I know what it is.
I'm not into that.
No, because you mentioned you wouldn't invest in the stock. I remember this.
Oh, I don't like SIGs. Yeah,
it was last year. I remember you were.
Yeah.
There was a story about it. And we're like, it wouldn't invest. That's very different from trading it. Trade anything.
Yeah. All good. So I get it there, Hamster. So what's up? Okay, so Robinhood still working out. We are short a little bit here. Again, to our peril probably on NVIDIA one more time. So here it goes, trying to break higher. Let's see if exactly it does that. But 125. So again, just a $2 worth of a risk here to see if we get a little bit of a pullback in NVIDIA. I mean, again, we could take it out right now for $1, but This is what trading is, man. Sometimes you take some risks that you regret, and sometimes you take some risks that you wish you took them a little bit more frequently. So let's wait to see if we do get a little bit of a pullback in here for NVIDIA. I'm at 221.50, but of course it just bounced off there. So we'll see if it gets a little bit lower than that, and we will take that bid. So for right now, $2 in the money on NVIDIA, but we've been in this position many times and not taking it before getting stopped out. So there's a nice move down in. We'll take out 20% for that 350, or we just got no, sorry, $1.50. We're short at 223. So $1.50 there, going 1-to-1. So that's what we're trying. We've had this 1-to-1 relationship with this many times today. So let's just continue with that and get some more out. But here it comes. Hopefully we can break through 1220, and see what happens there. NVIDIA trying to go lower now.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to help drag Micron down with it. That said, Meta broke that 500, so we're getting out. It's running out of some steam. I feel like that big, strong momentum that was there early seems to be abating, so let's wait for VWAP. 500 doesn't seem to be, it doesn't care too much about 500. It's broken it back and forth a couple of times, so a longer hold might make sense. Micron hit enter twice. Micron just reloaded. So it's a good consolidation under 131. I think 130 is going to be an obvious spot to take something out. Oddly enough, still in NEO, which is interesting. I thought NEO was going to do something here. Yeah, like it did eventually break that 90 guy, and I said I would wait for it to test $5. At that point, like either you're adding on a break or doing nothing. It ends up holding the higher low and then breaking that seller that was at $5.90. But I'm not adding to this. I'm probably just going to get out in front of $5 on NIO. If you're already slowing down like this at 1048, you know, it's not even the middle of the day just yet, and this one's already starting to dog it. I want to go over to ARM. That was the other chip name, which had been relatively strong. It just wicked the top, so tried to break out. And if we're rolling back over, I'm still feeling like this is too much of a short day when you're failing highs. So another high fail break on a chip name. I'll look for some kind of a pop back in that we can short 36s on ARM.
I put LOL in the chat because we were just $6 in the money right there on NVIDIA, and then it just came all the way back up. Like, you know, it's just buying these dips is so much easier than holding on to the short, because I feel like for myself that I look at this and think that we could retrace back to the 50 period. But like, it just keeps on saying no. Like, so you have the short, you're wondering about where to cover, you know? And it's just one of those things where it's like, where do you cover this name? I feel like on any dip is maybe when you should cover this name. So, you know, you see the P&L and it's like, wow, that's going, maybe it's gonna go lower, and then it completely stops. So let's wait to see. I feel like 212.16 there on some of this bottoms makes some sense. So, or sorry, 212.16 where we just bounced off of. Let's put a bid there and see, like right now we're $5 in the money on NVIDIA. And I'm just like, let's see if it goes lower. So greed on this name today for me has not been great. I mean, we took a huge win early, 12-15 bucks. We talked about that we took $4 on a 12.50 break, that we had more money in right here on the short, gave it up, and then now we're back into a really nice position here on NVIDIA on VWAP. But again, VWAP is just a line that it doesn't care. Like, NVIDIA's momentum should take this thing through it. So let's wait to see. We are now in the money again, that $5. Let's sit on the bid and see if we get 16s. And then after that, maybe we're lucky enough and we'll actually be able to see a move down into the 50 period. So I'm sitting here at the bottom of this range, hopefully with a little bit of a break right now. There it comes. So we're bidding 216.16. So here it comes in. Again, I might just punch this at 216.26. I might just punch some of this out right now because of where we are. Let's go. That's a good out. So we take some out right there. Let's ring the register on that one. It's a $7 winner. Let's put it back into the pocket there on NVIDIA. So far so good here over to Adara. $7 in the pocket now with NVIDIA.
EXY continuing on its move to the upside here with actually a pretty bullish looking candle. We do have this wick down into 104.10 on the daily, currently trying to get into that 104.31 area. Let's see if we can clear where we had these wicks into earlier, into that 104.50. That'd be a nice look here for the DXY to the upside. In terms of data, getting a lot of employment data today. Initial jobless claims coming in higher than expected. So 229,000 versus 220,000 20,000. A slight decrease here from the expectation for non-farm productivity quarter over quarter, so 0.2% versus 0.3% expected. And unit labor costs also lower for the Q1 number here than expected, 4% versus 4.7% expected. These lower numbers, probably a good look given that a lot of Fed speakers, including notably hawkish Fed's Kashkari, have been mentioning recently that there has been too much strength in this labor market. So any number to the downside in this front, probably not a bad look here. Especially interesting as we get rate cuts from the Bank of Canada and the ECB. Keep an eye out for tomorrow's non-farm payroll numbers, another labor-related number. And then, of course, next week we have that Fed meeting. So lots to look at with regards to the DXY the coming days, guys.
$13 now in the money on this short. So, I mean, that's a good one there. Let's see where it goes now. I mean, I don't know. We got that cover. We got exactly what we wanted to do on this name. It came right into the 50-period moving average. So, I mean, VWAP to 50-period MA, I mean, that's the trade that we need to make, and we just did make it. So far, so good on that one. We'll breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief as NVIDIA really puts damage right there. So good name to fall back in. Now we can wait to see if we can get 1,200 and get it $20 on this. But at the end of the day, let's see what winds up happening here with NVIDIA off the bounce there from VWAP back in. We took it out. We have just under half left. So I'd say we have, actually, the math works. We have just 40%, little under 40% left. So good out there. Let's see if we can go. We got a decent spot. We got 20% out there at tens. So we just sold on Robinhood. Yeah, we actually got it. So we actually got 12, sorry, not tens. So good out there on there. There goes Robinhood, another one back up to the upside. Man, we put some damage on the board here in the last little while, but NVIDIA, we got too greedy with it early. Let's see if it can fade back into 1,200. Short right now, 12.23.
Yeah, step on the neck and just kind of keep it there when that stock's going down. I mean, at the end of the day, it is an absolute market leader. It's the futures if you're trading any other chip name. I'm going to show you guys ARM in a second. You could have, the second I heard the first salvo where you're like, it's tanking, all you had to do was punch short pretty much anything.
Right.
I don't know about AMD, but I can tell you ARM, in that same moment, ARM was strong. It was an up candle. It immediately tanked 50 cents. It was just one guy just started to sell. I was in Micron. Micron was pressing higher. It was wicking back into the top. And then right in that same moment that NVIDIA had that little bit of a push to the downside, Micron drops almost a full dollar in there in that same moment. I'm only getting back to green just now on that Micron fill. Part of it's meta, but I'm so glad we got out of meta. I'll tell you this right now, it is okay to be wrong, just it's not okay as a trader to stay wrong. Meta was super strong and trending upside. Once it broke 50, it was right into VWAP pretty much immediately. So it's better to have an out and just take it and don't take too big of a hit relative to what you're going to win on a stock when it does work for you. Try to stay in the pocket, try to stay green. Risk management does matter at the end of the day. So there's a big drop down into VWAP. It could always hold. I'd rather see some strength. Maybe a VWAP consolidation could work. And I want to go to my friend Pinduoduo and Alibaba. We only have 5 minutes before we get here. Always say look for relative strength and weakness in the day. I know we've talked about meta a little bit. Pinduoduo is breaking back out after a disaster day yesterday. So it was 144. It just broke out, consolidating over. You can only imagine that Alibaba it's trying to go, but it's holding the $78 level, which is a key support level. So if this can hold VWAP, whenever you make a double bottom, this is actually a triple or quadruple bottom on Alibaba, 78.80. If it can hold VWAP, you can get a run back into that 80 level. But it is Pinduoduo that's doing the heavy lifting. So relative strength in at least one Chinese ADR. I'm going to get out of Micron if we get the low of the day, but it's trying to hold the 130 level. Got to watch out for that. And I see NVIDIA's trying to bounce off 1210. That could be a thing as well.
Okay, and in sticking with the good vibes feeling around here, let's give props to the leaders of the floor today. Shout out to Max, shout out to Josh, shout out to Yannick. So they're putting up those numbers, so congratulations, man. It's the leader of the pack and Ramin. Is that better, Ramin? Ramin said, what about me? So there you go. So shout out right there. Top three today. No particular order. Max, Yannick, and Josh. So a big congratulations to the guys on the floor there. We like to see that. And again, you spread the good karma, you spread it out, and hopefully it comes back to you right there. The Piper, it's an SMA. So when I talk about 50-period moving average, it's the pink line right here that I use, and it's just an SMA. So it's on a 1-minute chart. I just like to play that pullback. I mean, it worked perfectly. When it came in, we talked about that. When we were looking for a dip buy opportunity in NVIDIA, we talked about the 50-period moving average. It came in. So the thing is, it was at 10, and then as it was coming through and this move was happening, we took 12s. So we could have gotten better. It was probably at 10 or 11 at that point. Right now it is at 12 again. So wouldn't be surprised if we do get a little bit of a bounce off right there in that. So yeah, man, good. Yeah, this is Rolex right here. So it's a good little watch. I like it. I always miss wearing, thanks for asking, I always miss wearing the smartwatch because then I get notifications on it, like, you know, oh, this player's not attending the game. We had a 12-3 victory last night. We talked a little bit about that. So shout out to the High Park Jets, which will at one point be hopefully lifting a trophy, although there's some really good teams there. We'll see if we can get that going. And then this weekend we have, so I have this weekend 2 games and 2 practices. So should be a lot of fun. We drive to Ancaster for the rep team. And then we have two rep practices and a league game. So it's going to be busy. Unfortunately, my daughter misses dry land training with her rep hockey team.
Well, it might rain. I don't know. The forecast didn't look that great.
Shout out 1320.
We were considering whether or not we're going to get our practice in on Sunday because
already, yeah, it's still early.
No,
to look at
the diamond that we have for practice is trash.
Yeah, that's
so like specifically the one that we have. It's like if it rains even a little bit,
irrigation is like honestly. We used to be. There's this other league. It's not as competitive as the one we're in now, but yeah, their diamond is like in a sort of a valley, and it was the worst.
What can you do?
Because like even if it rained the week, like a couple days ahead. Yeah. It's squashed, but
well,
hopefully.
The secondary plan is there's like a good football field that if nobody's using it at a high school, we'll just go there and
use your season ticket connects and get under that dome, man. I mean, maybe when they go away games. Wouldn't that be cool to get that? I do have the Panerai as well. Maybe we'll wear that tomorrow.
The Rogers Center, my men's league played our All-Star games at the Rogers Center.
See?
The field was this before they put the rubber pellets down?
Yeah, it was garbage probably.
The field was like concrete.
Yeah.
I played one game, and I don't have the best knees in the world. I played one game, my knees were sore for a week. So when people talk about the pros and they get bad knees on the bad field, and players do not want to sign there when it's a bad turf, they're not playing around, man. No one wanted to play on that turf in the Rogers Center. They put rubber pellets in, and it's better now. But back to the market. We only have like 30 seconds to go, so just a quick recap. I'm only in like Neo. I've been in Neo for a while. It's not really doing much of anything. But Micron, I want the low of the day, and then we're jumping out of this thing. So we get out. It double bottomed already in a sense. If you kind of count this here yesterday, I consider that. It's not really the low, but look what happened after that. So I'll respect it. That is a 135 to 129.50 range that it is now held twice. So I feel like if it gets down there, it's probably worthy of a bounce. And NVIDIA is not exactly flushing. And NVIDIA is holding the 1210 level. So I'm going to get out in front of 129 quarters on Micron.
Robinhood, thanks for pointing that out right there. It enters the Dollar Club. We're long 21.84 there, Sharif, on Robinhood. Off the shot call on 21.60 on the sticky note. So we missed it by 20 pennies, but we're still long, so it's all good. And it's about time to switch over right now. So just a quick update, those of you wondering what this lunatic, myself, is going to be doing here with NVIDIA. Yeah, I'm wondering about getting something out if it does break back above right here, 12.15. But at the same time, I wonder also about a push down into 1,200 again to see if we get that. So I don't want to throw money away on this. So that could be something to look at. Let's see, here it comes breaking. As I say that, we start to break lower right now. Oh, it's only a $14 winner right now with NVIDIA, but let's see where it goes from here. And let's go over to our guy and gal of the midday. The midday monsters.
Let's go.
Without any, like, no offense to that. I think that's good. It's good. You know, the monsters of the monsters of the midway. There's holy shnike right now. We are getting downside. We're $15 in the damn money right now for NVIDIA. So, I mean, I'm bidding 12. You know what? this is my problem. Welcome to the world of me. But I'm going to bid out rate now at 12.06. If we're able to get that, that's a nice move down. I'm not going to wait for 12.03s. Let's go. See if we can get this move. It's a big one here for NVDA back into the short side of things. But hey, every dip's been bought up. So maybe this is a mistake not getting out. Back over to the midday. It's been a great day. Kill 'em, guys. Ciao.
Yes, 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 yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That right there